Chapter 91, How About Being Your Man? When she saw that the person who walked out was Ming Xiu, Lu Muyen was inexplicably relieved, and when she heard the other party's magnetic voice again, her lips curled up into an arc. Ming Xiu. Lu Muyen said the two words lightly, wondering why this guy came here. Woman, what are you doing here? Ming Xiu walked until he stopped in front of Lu Muyen and looked at her with deep eyes. Lu Muyen chuckled, raised her eyes and said, And what are you doing here? Hearing Lu Muyen speaking to Ming Xiu in such a way, the middle-aged man who followed couldn't help but reveal slight shock. Master had never been so friendly to anyone before. Meanwhile, the eyes of the other enchanting woman were cold and unkind. Take a guess. Ming Xiu leaned closer to Lu Muyen and his warm breath hit her ears. Lu Muyen's eyes darkened and didn't avoid him as she stared directly at the flamboyant and domineering man. For the scarlet frost Jiao or for the deep orchid? A devilish smile rose on Ming Xiu's lips, and their breaths intertwined. His long and thin eyes narrowed slightly. What if this highness wants both? This woman actually came to this place, then it must be for the deep orchid. Lu Muyen stretched her hand out and poked Ming Xiu's sturdy chest, pushing him a step away, then said calmly, I want the deep orchid. An initial phase sword spirit cultivation base sword master also wants the deep orchid? What a joke. The enchanting woman behind sneered, her tone carrying thick contempt. It was because she relied on her status as Ming Xiu's right guardian, that she could ridicule this beautiful girl that she found extremely unpleasing to the eye. Her master had never liked being close to others and kept at least 3 feet away from anyone, yet who knew that he would be so intimate with a little girl that suddenly appeared from nowhere? A sense of crisis rushed up to Emolan's heart. Lu Muyen's gaze shifted to the enchanting and bewitching woman, but didn't directly reply, then immediately retrieved her gaze, raised an eyebrow and looked at Ming Xiu, saying, Your dog's barking. What did you say? Emolan's enchanting face suddenly changed. The pressure of a sword monarch was fully exerted, and she pressed it towards Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen's eyes chilled. Was it that now everyone wanted to squish her like a soft peach one? Just when she was about to mobilize a mental energy tempest within her sea of consciousness, she saw the man before her gently wave his sleeve, and that pressure instantly disappeared. He didn't even look at the woman behind him as he uttered some cold words. Emolan, go to the criminal law hall yourself for 3 months. Master. Emolan's eyes were full of disbelief. She bit her lip and addressed aggrievedly. 1 year. Go yourself. Ming Xiu turned and looked at Emolan with a cold expression. The grievances in Emolan's heart expanded infinitely. Master had never punished her to go to the criminal law hall, and yet this time he actually punished her because of that little bitch. Just when she wanted to speak, she was stopped by the middle-aged man beside her. You know Master's temper. If you say any more, you won't just be going for a year. The man whispered to Emolan. There was reluctance in Emolan's eyes. She raised her head and looked at Ming Xiu, but her heart trembled from the dissatisfaction in that pair of cold eyes. It seemed that Master was really angry. Master's temperament was really impermanent, sometimes devilish, sometimes cold, sometimes gentle. She didn't know which was the real him at all, but once he was angry, whoever dared to disobey, they definitely wouldn't end well. Emolan obeys. Emolan retrained the insidiousness in her eyes, lowered her head and replied respectfully. Ever since she started following Master, she had adored him. She only wished that one day too, he would have her in his heart, and even take her as his wife. So she couldn't tolerate any woman getting close to Ming Xiu. She remembered that woman in her heart, and one day she would definitely make her die without a grave. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, go. Ming Xiu furrowed his brows and the devilish smile had long disappeared, replaced by a cold look. Emolan pinched her palm tightly. She didn't want to leave. She raised her head and looked at Ming Xiu, her eyes watery and aggrieved, saying, Master, after the matters at the glacial mountain range is finished, Emolan will go back to be punished. No need. Go now. Currently, Ming Xiu truly despised the deep adoration in Emolan's eyes to the extremes. There was no need for a guardian who didn't know her own place to continue to be by his side. But, Piyu? Emolan wanted to argue again, but with a casual swing of Ming Xiu's arm, she was struck back by a powerful elemental energy wave, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Get lost. Ming Xiu's patience had almost been exhausted. He could already be considered indulging Emolan, but he didn't allow her to have any inordinate ambitions. Especially that insidious gaze cast towards Lu Muyen, it made killing intent rise within him. Emolan obeys. Emolan clutched her chest in terror, then said unreconciled and left. After turning around, her enchanting face became distorted, but she didn't bear grudges against Ming Xiu. Instead, she placed this debt all on Lu Muyen. When she came out of the criminal law hall, she would make sure that this woman would feel better off dead. Lu Muyen's mental energy was very powerful, so she naturally found the hostility and killing aura Mo Lan had towards her, but she merely sneered in her heart. She raised her head and glared at Ming Xiu. It was all this guy's fault for attracting Rotten Peach Blossom 3 debt. Yet what did it have to do with her? Although she wasn't afraid of that Mo Lan, but she really was being innocently involved in all this. You sure could bear hurting her. Lu Muyen was upset, and her eyes carried a meaningful, profound look of ridicule. Ming Xiu's phoenix eyes grew deep, and an unprecedented anger rose in his chest. He hated this little woman looking at him with eyes that carried ridicule. He stretched out his hand and gently squeezed Lu Muyen's chin, brought his head closer until the tips of their nose almost touched and said coldly, "Woman, you're not allowed to use that look to look at this highness." "Why not? Who are you to me? Why do I have to listen to you?" Lu Muyen sneered. No one had ever dared to squeeze her chin. Who? Ming Xiu pondered for a while, released the hand that squeezed her chin, then suddenly placed his lips on Lu Muyen's lips, but only a touch before immediately leaving with eyes that carried dark, non-dissolvable ink. He spoke with an arrogant, domineering manner, his voice deep and sexy. "How about being your man?" He had always hated physical contact with people and hated the rouge smell on women even more, but he didn't expect that when he approached this woman, there would actually be an urge to have a taste of her flavor. The result was, he found that the taste of a woman's soft, glutinous, warm lips was actually pretty good. "Be my man." Lu Muyen's bright eyes were currently filled with obscure colors. She was actually kissed by this man. For the first time in her 2 lives was she treated like this by a man. As the spiritual world's female immortal, how could she allow herself to be so easily flirted with by a man? After a pause, she suddenly stretched out her hand and wrapped her arms around Ming Xiu's neck. Her red lips kissed his, but it also didn't linger long. When they parted, her lips revealed slight playfulness and she said, "It seems Monarch Ming's flavor isn't that good." After speaking, she turned and walked forward, but ripples rose in her originally calm heart. The gaze beneath Ming Xiu's mask deepened, and the sexy thin lips rose into an exceedingly devilish arc. This woman sure was courageous, but she damnably matched his appetite. The original saying is soft persimmon, so when someone squeezes a soft persimmon it means they take them as weak and easy to bully. Here it seems the author wants to be creative and say soft peach? Too well, so I'm pretty sure for some weird reason they censored the word or, which means day, again. It happened last time in chapter who knows what, and it's happened again because I am certain that word fits in this context since it's something that everyone says one day this, one day that, etc. Why so specific? Haha. 3 Peach blossom is often used to in many instances to describe love interests or love-related things. For example, to have peach blossom luck means that the person is lucky in love. In this case, to attract rotten peach blossoms, it means to have attracted unwanted love. For just looking at someone really deeply. Note, I warned you guys the development was rather fast. But oh my, I actually forgot that kiss happened, haha. And oh my, I forgot Lu Muyen returned the favor to him too, haha. XD more to come. Chapter 92. His heart moved for her. Lu Muyen ignored Ming Xiu's complex gaze behind her that carried slight fervent flames. She walked to the edge of the wounding green mist and scrutinized it. This is the poisonous mist released by that frost jiao. It'll dissipate automatically after an hour. Ming Xiu stepped forward and stood shoulder to shoulder with Lu Muyen. Mo Yen on Lu Muyen's shoulder, with an enigmatic expression, looked at the devilishly captivating man in red who approached them. This man was very strong. This was the first thing he sensed about Ming Xiu. You want the Scarlet Frost Jiao's crystal core? Lu Muyen lowered her eyes, then said leisurely after a while. Both of them spoke nothing of what occurred just now, and each had their own plans. Ming Xiu replied indifferently, naturally. Ming Xiu, let's make a deal. Lu Muyen looked at Ming Xiu seriously. She had just learned from Mo Han that the Scarlet Frost Jiao hidden deep in the bottom of the lake had concealed its cultivation base using a secret skill. It was actually a tier 6 demonic beast and could be even more powerful. Now, even if she joined forces with Mo Yen, she would still be unable to fight a tier 6 demonic beast that was at the level of a sword monarch. At the very least, she wouldn't be able to slay it, let alone obtain the deep orchid. That's why she wanted to cooperate with Ming Xiu. Ming Xiu's eyes revealed slight interest and asked with a faint smile, "What sort of trade?" There was a faint guess in his heart. Your cultivation base already broke through to Sword Sovereign. The spirit cleansing pill that I gave you last time has little effect on you now. Let's work together. You kill the Scarlet Frost Jiao, he'll use its crystal core to refine a pill for you, and I can guarantee that its effect will be more than 3 times better than you refining the crystal core alone. Lu Muyen said with calm and composure. You want the deep orchid to refine a pill? Ming Xiu asked Lu Muyen instead of answering immediately. Lu Muyen didn't hide it and nodded. The deep orchid is very important to me. To be more precise, it's the pill that's made with the deep orchid as one of its main ingredients that's very important to me. What kind of pill? Ming Xiu was a little curious about which grade this woman's alchemy skills were at. Foundation Establishment Pill. You wouldn't know even if I said it. Lu Muyen paused, then continued, but if you can help me obtain the deep orchid, I can give you one. Its effect is similar to the marrow cleansing pill, but it's a more advanced pill. It's effective even for people with Sword Monarch strength and above. The effect is similar to that of the marrow cleansing pill? There's an even more heaven-defying pill? Even if Ming Xiu had extensive experience, he had never heard of the Foundation Establishment Pill before, but he believed this little woman's words. The Foundation Establishment Pill was actually a pill used by immortal cultivators to advance to the Foundation Establishment stage. It could wash the marrow, cleanse the body, and expand the meridians. The most important effect was that it helped a cultivator to establish their foundation. Of course, not every cultivator who took the Foundation Establishment Pill was able to successfully establish their foundation. With any pill they only played a support role. The meditation stage and the Foundation Establishment stage were definitely both watersheds for cultivators. But almost none of the sword masters on Tianling continent had spiritual roots. So they couldn't establish foundations and could only use it to wash their marrow and expel all the impurities that were once hidden in their bodies. The Foundation Establishment Pill does indeed have this effect. You're now at the strength of a Sword Sovereign. Although it won't help you expand your meridians by many-fold, but it can at least still be able to cleanse all the meridians in your body, and flush out all the negative energy impurities. Lu Muyen looked at Ming Xiu with a deep gaze. In fact, you're the one that's at the advantage in this trade. Just say yes or no. You've already said all that, so does this highness still have any reason to reject? Ming Xiu let out a low laugh. This kind of pill moved even his heart as he listened. He sure didn't know what other skills this woman had. She was like a book. With every page he opened, it would pleasantly surprise him. He really was looking forward to flipping through this book page by page. Meanwhile, the middle-aged man who stood behind the two of them had completely frozen, and his expression was as if he had seen a ghost. Just what did he see just now? Master, who had always been avoidant of females as if he were afraid he couldn't evade them, actually leaned down to kiss that young girl. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Then hearing the conversation that the two didn't avoid speaking in front him, the shock in his heart couldn't be calmed for a long time. That woman was actually the alchemist that refined the marrow cleansing pill that was currently being spoken of everywhere, and she could even refine a pill that Sword Monarch strength people could use to remove impurities. This was simply too unbelievable. And looking at Master's reaction, it was obvious that he knew about it. No wonder he would look at this young girl differently. It appeared that this woman was very special, hence why it attracted their Master's attention. Otherwise, with Master's temperament, he wouldn't approach others on purpose simply to win them over. He sighed. It seemed that this time Emolan was over. If Master's heart truly moved for this woman, then he naturally wouldn't allow anyone to harm her. In the future he better be more respectful to this woman. Maybe she would be their mistress too in the future. Of course there's no reason to refuse. Lu Muyen smiled, her eyes curving. Then are we going to wait for the wounding green mist to disperse before entering? She found that hidden in this layer of green mist was extreme venom, and even if a Sword Monarch level expert inhaled it, they would be poisoned. No need. This highness naturally has a way. Ming Xiu unintentionally exuded a domineering attitude as if looking down upon the world. His inborn noble temperament always inadvertently made one feel respect and fear. As soon as his voice fell, Ming Xiu took out a black gem that emitted a fluorescent light. After channeling some elemental energy, the black gem instantly shone brightly, and a black circle of light enveloped him and Lu Muyen. Emogue, you stand guard outside and don't allow anyone in. Ming Xiu said lukewarmly. Yes, master. The middle-aged man replied respectfully. Ming Xiu naturally took Lu Muyen's hand and stepped into the wounding green mist. Mo Yen stared at the intertwined hands with an obscure expression. Lu Muyen felt her left hand being wrapped in a big warm hand, and she fell into a slight daze. She lowered her eyes and looked at the hand held by Ming Xiu, but in the end she didn't shake it off and let him pull her forward. Ming Xiu's lips rose into a slight arc and there was a slight smile in his cold, phoenix eyes. As soon as the layers of green mist touched the black circle of light, it would automatically scatter as if it had met its nemesis, and the toxins contained in the mist couldn't penetrate the black light circle either. That scarlet frost Jiao is releasing such a strong body venom, is it possibly advancing? After Lu Muyen stepped into the green mist, she felt a very small energy fluctuation that came from the deep lake in the distance. A touch of surprise flashed past Ming Xiu's eyes. With this little woman's cultivation base as a sword spirit, she could actually discover the energy fluctuations in the depths of that cold lake. It seemed that her mental energy had exceeded her cultivation base by a lot. Ever since their first encounter in the blazing mountain range, he had been slightly interested in her, and even inexplicably gifted her that ice bangle that had a special meaning behind it. After discovering that she was auctioning the marrow cleansing pill at the auction, he asked people to collect recent information about her, then gradually he began to pay more and more attention to her, while she attracted his attention more and more as well. A thick layer of ink rose in Ming Xiu's deep, black eyes that were like a well. So it seemed that his heart had started moving for her long ago without even knowing when. Holding that petite, soft hand, Ming Xiu's heart felt as if it were inexplicably filled with something. For the first time, there was something that could affect his calm emotions, and he not only didn't feel dislike to this type of emotion, but even wanted to be filled more with it. He could see that the little woman only felt that he was special, or was interested in him, but her heart had yet to move for him. But he wasn't in a hurry. He would slowly, step by step, take her beneath his wing, and let her little by little bloom only for him. Lu Muyen, being able to hold your hand this time means that you'll be this highness woman in the future, so don't even think about being able to break free for the rest of your life. One, just to clarify, immortal cultivators is the term for the people who cultivated the path to immortality in Lu Muyen's previous world. Like how here they're called sword masters. They're not actually immortal, though eventually they will be if they continue cultivating OFC. Cultivators with a capital C refers to cultivators in the previous world as well. I think I need to do some fixing in terminology in previous chapters too. I'll do that later too, just to clarify in case people feel the word mistress implies a woman who has affairs with a married man, which unfortunately it does have that meaning, but formally, it is the counterpart to master. I did a search and it's the only word that really fits, aside from madam but In Chinese, the word is, which translates literally to main mother and just means master with the being an affix at the end with no real meaning. Anyways, I'll stick with mistress for this story, which means main and only wife. Note, XDMX being so possessive already. Obs if RFL doesn't like it, she wouldn't let it happen either. And same Mogue, same, rather shocking indeed. And yay, holding hands. Chapter 93, Cave within the cave. Step by step, the two approached the cold lake where the green mist was even denser. Wave after wave of special, cold elemental energy wind attacked them. Lu Muyen felt slight pain on her skin from the breeze. Just as she was about to mobilize her spiritual energy to protect her body, a sudden warmth came from the palm of her hand and spread around her body. That painful feeling instantly disappeared. Lu Muyen glanced sideways at Ming Xiu, whose expression she couldn't quite see clearly. The strength of this man was a mystery even to her. She could only feel that he was very strong. It's starting to advance. Ming Xiu looked ahead and said. Lu Muyen also felt the surrounding spiritual force of heaven and earth begin to swarm into the depths of the cold lake, violently swirling. But this was only just the beginning. With the fluctuation of energy from the advancement of the Scarlet Frost Jiao being so strong, its strength shouldn't be underestimated. You came to the glacial mountain range this time for it? Lu Muyen always felt that the reason Ming Xiu came to the glacial mountain range wasn't so simple. Ming Xiu took off the silver mask on his face, revealing that chiseled and handsome face as if having been intricately and precisely carved. His light red lips curled into a pleasant arc, taking its crystal core as just in passing. When Lu Muyen saw the devilish man's face again, she couldn't help but be amazed at the exceptional beauty again. She concealed the fluctuations in her eyes and said, "You didn't happen to come to the glacial mountain range for the trial competition, did you?" But their low-end selection trial shouldn't have attracted Ming Xiu. Of course not. I came to the glacial mountain range for the heavenly frost golden crystal that's about to sublimate and take shape. Ming Xiu didn't conceal it either. Hearing that Ming Xiu replaced the words "this highness" with "I," Lu Muyen's heart skipped a beat. Removing his honorific This Highness so that she and him were considered equal, was this man showing her goodwill? And when she heard Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal, Lu Muyan's eyes flickered brightly. The Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal could only be formed in an iceberg at least 10,000 years of age. At first it would be in a liquid form which was a pale golden color. After it condensed into a spar, it would become a dark golden. It contained an indestructible energy with an extremely hard texture. It was one of the best main materials for refining natal magic treasures. Because the conditions for formation were very harsh, it must take more than thousands of years to crystallize. So it was even a rare spiritual item in the spiritual world, with one hardly found even in 1,000 years. Its price would also be sky high. Who knew that it would actually be birthed in a land where spiritual items were so scarce? How do you know that it's about to sublimate? Lu Muyan asked curiously with a smile. A Sword King discovered it by chance when he accidentally broke into an ice volcano. But that day the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal was guarded by a powerful demonic beast. He struggled with serious injuries and had to use a secret skill to escape. I rushed over when I got the news. Ming Xiu said as he pulled Lu Muyan forward. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed some understanding. The formation of ice volcanoes were extremely unique and rare. It would only be formed in 10,000-year-old icebergs. Underground, there birthed fiery, thick liquid that thawed the iceberg. It wouldn't erupt, but it would produce a lot of spiritual items and was also one of nature's wonders. Did the 10 distinguished clans of the eastern region also receive the news? Lu Muyan suddenly remembered how the 10 distinguished clans inexplicably set the trial site at the glacial mountain range, plus Yi Qinghan's secret words, so it wasn't difficult to imagine that the trial was a kind of camouflage. A smile of admiration rose in Ming Xiu's eyes. This little woman was indeed intelligent. From the news of the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal alone, she could guess the purpose of the 10 distinguished clans. The first one to obtain the news was precisely the 10 distinguished clans, and they also sealed the news. If it weren't that I just happened to be in the eastern region traveling, even if I received the news, I'd have arrived too late. You mean that other empires and big forces don't know about this news, or even if they knew they'd arrive too late? Lu Muyan's eyes glowed with brilliance. If they didn't have the participation of those large entities, then maybe she'd also be able to obtain some Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal to use to refine her natal magic treasure with. Indeed. Ming Xiu saw the brilliance in Lu Muyan's eyes, then asked with a smile, "What, you're also interested?" Lu Muyan rolled her eyes at him and spoke with a firm tone, "Those who aren't interested in such spiritual items must be fools. I want to refine a magic treasure. If I use the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal as the main material, then it'll definitely increase its quality by a few levels. I'm definitely going to join in on the fun." "You can also refine tools?" Ming Xiu couldn't help displaying surprise. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Lu Muyan raised her graceful chin with a little look of confidence and pride. "Of course. Who knew that I picked up a treasure?" Ming Xiu liked this sort of appearance on this little woman tremendously. He chuckled and held Lu Muyan's hand tightly. Lu Muyan glanced at him, then huffed, "What does it have to do with you?" Although she insisted that on her lips, but her smooth jade-white face was unconsciously dyed with a layer of pink. Ming Xiu couldn't help laughing aloud, but also stopped teasing her. Although it was fun to provoke the little wild cat, but now wasn't time yet. Boom boom. Suddenly, a great thunder sounded from the horizon, and lightning flashed by in the distance. It's actually facing a thunder tribulation and is about to transform. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed slight caution. Ming Xiu's eyes darkened and he quickly pulled Lu Muyan towards the deep lake. "Go, let's kill it before it transforms." The two were extremely fast. With the black gem enveloping them, the green mist couldn't get close to them, so they flew into the cold lake without any obstacles and dived towards the bottom. Thunder and lightning shined brightly non-stop. A quarter of an hour later, the two dived to the bottom of the deep lake. There was a large cave entrance below, and after entering the cave there was a very wide, open space. On the open space, some light purple spiritual herbs grew sporadically, and in the deepest part, there was another cave within this cave. Lu Muyan's eyes lit up when she looked at the few purple spiritual herbs that grew sporadically. These were the deep orchids. Roar. Hiss. Suddenly, two beast roars with a strong and powerful pressure came from the cave within the cave, and the whole cave shook. Lu Muyan and Ming Xiu exchanged glances and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. It seemed that a demonic beast was a step ahead and had hidden itself here, wanting to ambush the Scarlet Frost Jiao. The most important thing was that the demonic beast that lurked here could actually evade both their perceptions. It wasn't only strong, but it also definitely had some sort of hidden innate talent that could conceal its figure. You guys be careful. Although the demonic beast that ambushed the Scarlet Frost Jiao is only an advanced phase tier 6 ice toad, but it's a mutant demonic beast. Not only does it have a hidden innate talent, but it also has a venom sac. You mustn't let the venom in its sac be sprayed on you, otherwise even if you don't die, you'd become handicapped. Mo Yen stared at the cave within the cave gravely, and informed Lu Mu Yen of the information he found. After listening to Mo Yan's words, Lu Mu Yen stared gravely ahead and reminded Ming Xiu, the one who ambushed the Scarlet Frost Jiao is a mutant toad that has a hidden innate talent, and also deadly venom. Be careful after entering. You mustn't be sprayed with the venom from its sac. Ming was curious, how did this little woman know the abilities of the demonic beast inside? When he glanced at the little white beast standing on Lu Mu Yan's shoulders, an understanding crossed his eyes. At first glance he also regarded it as a fire cloud mink, but he always felt that something wasn't right. Just now, the little beast sent out a very slight fluctuation of mental energy used for probing, that he discovered, and he just happened to know this kind of mental energy. It was precisely the king-class demonic beast, the spirit devourer species' innate talent. At this time he had to admire Lu Mu Yen in his heart. This little woman's eyes sure were sharp. Boom boom. Fierce roars and fights resounded from the cave within the cave. Let's go take a look as well. After Ming Xiu finished speaking, he held Lu Mu Yen and flew into the cave within the cave and added a circle of elemental energy shield around her for protection. Note all was she blushed. Chapter 94. Ming Xiu acts before entering the cave within the cave. Lu Mu Yen swept away all the deep orchids on the ground outside. The two demonic beasts were currently fighting, so they wouldn't bother with the spiritual herbs. After entering the cave within the cave, what entered their sight was a colossal azure blue Scarlet Frost Jiao with two front claws, sweeping its tail against a giant toad before it. The toad's reaction speed was also very fast, and with only a few leaps, it avoided the Jiao's tail sweep. The two protruding cheeks on its face expanded and shrunk, then it opened its big mouth, spraying a yellowish-brown liquid. A series of thunder and lightning sounded, directly blasting a gap in the cave. The lightning flashes and thunder instantly struck the Scarlet Frost Jiao's body. It just so happened that the yellow liquid also flew at it, and being unable to avoid it, the Jiao's tail was hit by the liquid, immediately corroding several bloody holes. Hiss hiss. The Scarlet Frost Jiao hissed loudly in pain, but the thunder and lightning in the air didn't restrain. Instead, it slammed down even more quickly and fiercely. That toad was also very cunning. Each time, before the thunder and lightning struck, it would dodge a certain distance, and use the moment the Scarlet Frost Jiao was facing the thunder tribulation to spray its yellow liquid in a sneak attack. After Ming Xiu and Lu Mu Yen entered the cave, both demonic beasts discovered their existence. The Scarlet Frost Jiao displayed joy in its eyes. It had to overcome this thunder tribulation while dealing with the toad, so it had absolutely no possibility of winning. With the participating of these two humans, it potentially drag it on and let itself successfully overcome the thunder tribulation. Meanwhile, the ice toad looked at the two of them vigilantly and uttered human words. Humans, this king and this Scarlet Frost Jiao are resolving some grudges. You can leave quickly and avoid death. Ice toad, what grudges do I have with you to resolve? You are just a despicable and shameless being. The Scarlet Frost Jiao had just finished receiving a strike from the thunder punishment, then spoke human words, ridiculing it, and its voice was actually a female's. Lu Mu Yan's eyes revealed slight surprise, so it appeared that this Scarlet Frost Jiao was a female. Humans, get out immediately, otherwise this king will kill you all first. The ice toad said, looking at Lu Mu Yan and Ming Xiu fiercely. Ha, just with you, a toad one? Ming Xiu chuckled with bare disdain in his eyes. The ice toad was angered. You're looking for death. It opened his mouth, and a stinking yellowish-brown liquid spouted from its mouth, shooting directly at the two. Ming Xiu let out a cold huff, put one hand around Lu Mu Yan's waist, tapped his foot casually and easily avoided the spray of venom. Hiss hiss. The intensity of the lightning grew stronger and stronger, and the Scarlet Frost Jiao was bombarded time and again onto the ground, but each time it survived, the Jiao skin would begin to fall off, and there was even a protrusion on the top of its head. Seeing that the Scarlet Frost Jiao was about to pass the thunder tribulation and transform into a Jiao dragon, the ice toad stared obscurely at a stone deep within the cave. Then it turned its head and sprayed more than 10 streams of venom towards Ming Xiu and Lu Muyen. Just when the Scarlet Frost Jiao faced the Thunder Tribulation again, it suddenly made a squatting posture, and with a spring, it landed on that giant rock. It smashed the rock with one claw and a white fluorescent Jiao egg was exposed. You dare. The Scarlet Frost Jiao, who was receiving the Thunder Tribulation, yelled when it saw that the toad's target was indeed the Jiao egg that she birthed. It turned around, foregoing the Thunder Tribulation, and opened its mouth to bite towards the toad, allowing the rolling Thunder Tribulation to land directly on its body. Hiss hiss. Because she removed a part of her energy in order to attack the toad, the Scarlet Frost Jiao was struck by the Thunder Tribulation, and a large bloody hole was torn in its Jiao body. But it still endured the pain and ferociously bit towards the toad. This was a mother. Even if it failed to pass the Thunder Tribulation, it must protect the safety of the child that she birthed. The ice toad had long expected it to be like this, so it grabbed the Jiao egg with its claws and made a pose as if to throw the egg. Scarlet Frost Jiao, if you dare bite down, then this king will shatter the egg. The little Jiao in this egg hasn't fully formed yet, so this fall will undoubtedly kill it. You better think about it clearly. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Ice Toad, you're despicable. The Scarlet Frost Jiao retrieved the mouth it was about to bite down with and raised its head, wailing in agony. Then the last Thunder Tribulation struck its head, and blood flowed down its giant head. Because it was not in the mood to receive the previous 2 Thunder Tribulations and withdrew her power to deal with the toad, its demonic crystal was bombarded by the Thunder Tribulation until it was exceptionally dim. For the last Thunder Tribulation, it didn't use its all to withstand it either, so it also heralded the failing of the Thunder Tribulation. Lu Muyen watched the Scarlet Frost Jiao who had failed the Thunder Tribulation, its whole body scorched black by the thunder and lightning, weak, and yet it still pushed itself to block the ice toad from exiting the cave. Leave the Jiao egg, otherwise we die together. The Scarlet Frost Jiao had failed to pass the tribulation, so its life was slowly waning, and it wasn't left with much time. Its eyes were fierce, planning to die with the toad. The ice toad croaked a few times and said with a sinister smile, "You still want to stop this king being practically half dead? You truly are dreaming. After this king refines this Jiao egg, this king can pass the tribulation and transform, which can be considered fulfilling your wish." Hiss hiss. The Scarlet Frost Jiao looked at the smooth, white egg reluctantly, then quickly burned the demonic energy within its body. It would rather explode and die with the ice toad than see its child being refined. Looking at the scene in front of her, Lu Muyen felt a little touched. The act of the Scarlet Frost Jiao rather giving up passing the tribulation to protect its Jiao egg made it so that she simply couldn't stand by and watch. Ming Xiu, let's kill that toad. If that despicable and shameless demonic beast really successfully passes the tribulation and transforms, it would be a great calamity. Ming Xiu also extremely despised the ice toad's behavior of stealing the egg while the Scarlet Frost Jiao was receiving the tribulation, so he nodded, "All right." The ice toad sneered at the conversation between the two of them. It had never placed any importance on either of the two humans at all, so now it was as if he had heard the funniest joke. The two people actually wanted to kill it, they truly were indulging in the wildest fantasy. "Those who block me die." The ice toad roared. Its body suddenly grew several times larger, and the pattern on its body grew deeper. It opened its mouth wide, and another mouthful of yellowish-brown liquid sprayed out. Except this time, it wasn't a stream of liquid, but instead countless shattered drops, attacking Ming Xiu and Lu Muyen. Ming Xiu's eyes grew colder. A fiery red shield rose from his hand and grew in size, blocking the liquid outside. He placed Lu Muyen in a place far from the battle location, and holding a giant golden sword, he slashed down in the air. A violent elemental energy sword aura flew out, slashing straight towards the toad. The toad's eyes revealed some shock. Obviously, it didn't expect this human to emit such a powerful sword aura. It mobilized the demonic energy within it, mixed it with venom, and sprayed out a yellow beam of light to directly greet the golden sword aura. Boom boom. The energy released by the one human one beast exploded within the cave. The cave shook constantly and countless rubble fell. After the dust dissipated, the remaining yellow beam of light was blocked by Ming Xiu's fiery red shield, then disappeared completely, while the golden sword aura chopped off one of its front legs. Croak croak. There was slight fear in the ice toad's eyes. It didn't expect that this quiet human actually hid his cultivation base. His strength was a major level above itself. So it grabbed the Jiao egg, mobilized its demonic energy and wanted to eject itself out from the cave entrance. Put down the Jiao egg. The weak and dissociating scarlet frost jiao that was burning its demonic energy instantly let out a burst of energy. Its jiao tail swept violently, and the toad that was approaching the entrance of the cave was heavily shot down onto the cave wall opposite. But it also seemed to have exhausted all its strength as its entire jiao body collapsed to the ground, only barely maintaining its last breaths to stare intensely at the jiao egg in the toad's claws. 1-inch Chinese author used a more colloquial version of toad, Laihama, but there's no real equivalent to that in English. However, toad can also be slang for a contemptible person or thing in English, which is basically what they're saying in Chinese too. And random note, this Chinese word is the word used in the very popular saying you see in cultivation novels, a toad lusting for swan meat xd, Laihama xiangqi tian ro. Chapter 95, Self-Detonation. The ice toad sprung out of the wall, and its body suddenly became smaller and smaller. It glanced at the jiao egg in its claws grimly, then toughened its heart and threw it as its body immediately shrank to the size of a palm. Its entire body also slowly faded, finally becoming transparent as if it had disappeared in this space. Seeing the jiao egg flying towards a wall, almost smashing into it, the scarlet frost jiao roared and struggled, wanting to rescue it, but it was a pity that its body was injured in the roots by the thunder of the tribulation and its demonic energy was all exhausted, so it could only move a few steps before collapsing to the ground, looking at the jiao egg with extreme grief. Then a white silhouette flashed about, and quickly landed beside the wall that the jiao egg was about to smash into. A slender, jade hand reached out and caught the fluorescent white egg. The scarlet frost jiao was relieved upon seeing this, but at the same time, watched the human woman who held her jiao egg vigilantly. Ming Xiu's phoenix eyes narrowed, and a strong elemental force was channeled into the golden longsword. With a blow towards the entrance of the cave, the sword aura instantly bombarded the gravel on the floor. Several cracks spread across the ground. Boom! The sword aura slashed the air, and when it was about to reach the entrance of the cave, it sliced off a hind leg of the ice toad that had concealed itself. Croak croak. The ice toad collapsed to the ground and rolled over in pain as it revealed itself, displaying infinite horror in its eyes. This human was too strong. Even if it transformed, it might not necessarily be his opponent. Humans, stop. As long as you spare my life, I'll let you order about. In order to save its little life, the ice toad decided to bend down temporarily and wait to regain its strength again before attempting revenge. Ming Xiu retracted the golden longsword in his hands and turned his gaze to Lu Muyen. Woman, what do you say? Kill? Lu Muyen hugged the jiao egg and said chillingly, like spring water. This sort of despicable demonic beast would be an eyesore even as a slave. A layer of brilliance flowed through Ming Xiu's eyes. This little woman's decisiveness indeed didn't let him down. His woman did not need the excessive clemency of women. Resolute killing was the state of mind a cultivator should possess. Hearing Lu Muyen's words, the fake grievance in the ice toad's eyes changed to ferocity and viciousness. Using his last remaining legs, it hopped up and headed directly for Lu Muyen. When it was approaching, it opened its large mouth and sprayed an extremely stinking yellow liquid venom. This was venom essence, the most toxic venom he had. If this woman wanted it to die, then I'll drag her down together. Ming Xiu didn't expect the toad to change the target of attack, and his expression changed. He quickly condensed an icicle in his hands and, with a flick, it shot towards the toad. Except the icicle's speed was just a step behind the yellow venom. Seeing that the venom was about to fall on Lu Muyen, he shouted anxiously, "Woman, be careful." With a shifting step he was prepared to step ahead. Lu Muyen's face was calm and composed, and her expression didn't change even when facing the yellow venom. A single finger beneath her sleeve kept changing forms. She closed her eyes, and then her red lips opened lightly. Condense. Following her voice, a series of void talismans appeared in the air, and intertwined quickly, turning into an intangible net, blocking in front of her. Because there was a large gap between the cultivation base of the Ice Toad King and Lu Muyen, the mental energy in her sea of consciousness also began to brew a tempest. A dense net composed of mental energy flew out of her body and fell behind the net made from the void talismans. The venom was sprayed onto the net made up of intangible void talismans, but the venom was too corrosive, so the talismans were corroded and dissipated bit by bit, while the remaining venom continued to spray towards her. Although the filtered venom wasn't as turbulent as it was in the beginning, but it still carried a stench and strong corrosiveness. If a human body was stained with it even just a little, even if they didn't die, they'd be harmed massively. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Poochie. The scattered venom fell on the dense net of mental energy, still highly corrosive. Then, the dense net suddenly shrank, enveloping all the venom within it, and flew directly back towards the toad. The ice toad couldn't keep up in speed as its 2 feet had been sliced off, so it was nailed to a rock by the icicle shot by Ming Xiu. Just when it thought that the venom it spat would kill the woman, something it completely didn't think of shocked it. The venom wrapped in the dense net of inexplicable energy flew directly towards it. It urgently struggled, but Ming Xiu's icicle pinned it in place and couldn't be rid of. It could only watch as the venom poured down on its head from mid-air. Croak croak. A few shrills sounded in the cave, and the dense mental energy net, after splattering all the venom onto the toad's head, collapsed automatically. Lu Muyan's lips curled up. This venom could indeed hurt the toad itself. What she did was called dealing with her opponent what they dealt with her, and let it also have a taste of this flavor. Only when Ming Xiu saw this, did the nervousness in his eyes gradually fade, and a devilishly handsome smile bloomed on his pretty face. This little woman's temperament truly suited his appetite. Not long after, the roar of the ice toad on the ground gradually diminished and finally disappeared. Its body also slowly stopped struggling and its aura was faint. Lu Muyan hugged the Jiao egg as she walked towards the Scarlet Frost Jiao's side. Seeing that it was dying, yet it still looked at the Jiao egg in her hand with affection and worry, her heart moved. She placed the Jiao egg in front of it and said, "Return to you." The Scarlet Frost Jiao looked at the white-clothed woman before her in perplexity. Didn't they come for its Jiao egg? You're a great mother. Lu Muyan said with a faint smile. The Scarlet Frost Jiao's act of willingly foregoing the tribulation in order to protect the Jiao egg touched her and made her feel respect. Ming Xiu, let's go. At this time, Lu Muyan didn't want Ming Xiu to take advantage of this opportunity, when the Scarlet Frost Jiao was in danger, to slay and take its crystal core. It wasn't because she was kind, but because she felt that this demonic beast was worthy of their respect. Ming Xiu had no more intention of killing the Scarlet Frost Jiao either. He nodded and walked towards Lu Muyan. When he walked in front of the ice toad, he moved his finger, and the icicle instantly turned into a puddle of water. He didn't plan on taking the crystal core of the Scarlet Frost Jiao, but the demonic beast crystal core of a Tier 6 Toad King was still of some use to him, so he planned to retrieve the crystal core. Be careful. Lu Muyan suddenly felt a mental energy fluctuation and shouted urgently. Ming Xiu naturally noticed the fluctuations as well. His eyes grew cold, then he reached out his hand and grabbed. The toad that was meant to be dead was grabbed by him, and with a squeeze, a few mouthfuls of putrid foul-smelling blood and venom instantly sprayed against the wall. You still want to struggle on your deathbed? Ming Xiu looked at the toad coldly. Only now did the toad's eyes display a look of despair. Who would have known that he had calculated for his entire life, only for it to be ruined in the hands of a human? He wasn't reconciled. Then his eyes suddenly burst with a vicious look. The demonic energy poured into his crystal core, and his body quickly expanded. Seeing the toad want to explode its demonic beast crystal core, but because of its hidden innate talent, Ming Xiu couldn't find the crystal core's location and therefore be unable to stop it. He instantly formed an ice ball in his hands, wrapped the toad with it and threw it out of the cave. A layer of powerful elemental energy shield enveloped both Lu Muyan and the Scarlet Frost Jiao. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, accompanied by a yellow smoke, and the toad's body, together with its demonic soul and demonic crystal, withered away in this world. Chapter 96. Contract the Jiao Dragon Egg. Boom boom. The sound of the explosion reverberated in the cave within the cave that was affected by the energy of the toad's self-detonation. The cave outside instantly collapsed, and the cave within trembled incessantly as numerous rocks blocked the entrance. A very faint yellow smoke drifted into the cave within the cave, mixed together with the dust, making it difficult to detect. Lu Muyan's brows furrowed as she stared at the blocked entrance, then raised her head, looking at the ceiling of the cave where a hole was blasted open by the lightning, then asked Ming Xiu, "Are we going out from the top of the cave?" The location of the cave within the cave wasn't below the cold pond, and the sky above the cave was pitch black, so she didn't know where it led to. The passage outside the cave's already blocked. I know where the top of the cave leads to, so it's alright. Ming Xiu glanced at the hole casually and replied. The two walked together and prepared to go out from the top of the cave together, while the Scarlet Frost Jiao, whose aura was superficial now, bore pain in its eyes, then slowly looked up at Lu Muyan and said, "Wait." Lu Muyan turned her head and looked at the Scarlet Frost Jiao in surprise. "Need something? I beg you to take it with you." The Scarlet Frost Jiao touched the Jiao egg affectionately with her head, sentimental and reluctant to part with, but with firmness. Why? Lu Muyin was very puzzled. The Scarlet Frost Jiao had desperately tried to protect the Jiao egg before. Although its aura was weak right now, but as long as she protected her demonic crystal and continued to absorb the spiritual force of heaven and earth, it should survive until the being within the Jiao egg forms and breaks the shell. The Scarlet Frost Jiao sighed, I can't protect it. The demonic beasts that covet it aren't just the ice toad. At most, I can survive until it breaks the shell, but I've already lost the ability to protect it. Then why let me take it away? You're not afraid that it'll be harmful to it? Lu Muyin raised an eyebrow. She wondered why a Jiao egg would attract the coveting of other high-level demonic beasts. She still remembered that the toad said that as long as it ate the Jiao egg, it could transform successfully. But under normal circumstances, the crystal core of a Tier 6 Scarlet Frost Jiao was much more valuable than an unformed Jiao egg. I have no other choice. You just returned it to me, which proves that you don't have a bad nature. I believe that as long as you can take it, then you will definitely not mistreat it in the future. The Scarlet Frost Jiao paused, then with determination in her tone, I'd rather let it be your spirit pet than for it to be seized by other demonic beasts for refining and never be able to reincarnate. Lu Muyin felt a deep maternal love for the Jiao egg from the Scarlet Frost Jiao. The faint fluctuation in the Jiao egg that she felt earlier when she touched it also made some softness rise in her heart. She thought for a bit, then with sincere eyes, all right. I will definitely treat it as a partner. Thank you. The Scarlet Frost Jiao's misty eyes revealed gratitude. It closed its eyes and nudged its head. A gentle force pushed the Jiao egg before it towards Lu Muyin. Lu Muyin took the Jiao egg with both her hands, pressed her lips, then bit her index finger. A drop of blood essence fell on the bright white fluorescent egg. Her 2 fingers formed seals in the air and she chanted a spell. Then a layer of warm light wrapped around the 1 person and 1 egg, and a spiritual energy contract seal talisman revolved around the Jiao egg a few times before instantly sinking into it. Immediately, it lit up brightly and a white light shot out from the Jiao egg, shooting right into Lu Muyin's forehead. The contract was completed. I signed a contract of equals with it. It will not only be my spirit pet in the future, but also my life and death partner. Don't worry. In order to let the Scarlet Frost Jiao go in peace, Lu Muyin entered into a contract of equals with the Jiao egg in front of it. The Jiao egg is from the bloodline of the Scarlet Frost Jiao, so it could clearly feel the power of the contract. Its high-hung heart also settled down and once again said gratefully, Human, a mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Let these things be considered a thank you gift for taking care of it in the future. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. After the Scarlet Frost Jiao finished speaking, it released a mental energy that shot directly towards the wall in the deepest parts of the cave. After a few sounds of rumbling, a crack appeared on the cave wall, and a pile of spiritual herbs and spars, along with dozens of demonic beast crystal cores, flew out and was placed in front of Lu Muyin. Lu Muyin swept the things on the floor with her eyes and nodded, I'll accept your kindness, but I want to ask you a question. Go ahead. Why did that ice toad covet your Jiao egg? And based on what you said, there'll be other demonic beasts who want it. Lu Muyin had already contracted the Jiao egg, so she naturally needed to figure out the situation. The Scarlet Frost Jiao seemed to have anticipated Lu Muyin's question and said without hesitation, its father is a golden dragon that met with misfortune and fell onto this interface. After its injury recovered, he was forced to tear through space and leave. I initially wished that after I successfully passed the tribulation and transformed, our family could be reunited, but it seems that it's impossible now. That toad and a few nearby demonic beast kings know that its bloodline contained the golden dragon's bloodline, so they wanted to refine it. The Scarlet Frost Jiao sighed and added. Lu Muyin's eyes revealed some understanding. The golden dragon is a superior demonic beast species. The blood essence of the dragon clan was exceptionally precious. After refining it, it could advance one's cultivation base, and was indeed very attractive to other demonic beasts. Leave now, the both of you. The Scarlet Frost Jiao suddenly said. Without waiting for Lu Muyin's response, it glanced at the Jiao egg in her hands with yearning and sentiment, then closed its eyes peacefully and poured the last trace of demonic energy into its crystal core. Then the Scarlet Frost Jiao's body gradually became transparent, and finally, together with the crystal core, turned into a blue light and flew into the Jiao egg. It left the essence of its entire life to its child. Lu Muyen rubbed the jiao egg she was holding in her hand and felt a powerful energy merge with the little thing within the egg. Her face revealed slight softness. Woman, let's go. Ming Xiu walked beside Lu Muyen, his handsome face revealing slight tenderness. Lu Muyen nodded, but her face changed the moment she looked up at Ming Xiu. She immediately grabbed one of Ming Xiu's wrists and probed it, then said with an inscrutable expression, "You are poisoned." Ming Xiu looked at Lu Muyen in surprise but knew that she wouldn't lie. He used his mental energy to probe the meridians in his body but didn't find any oddity. Just as he was about to speak, he felt a hot sensation spread all over his body. A fiery sensation continued to climb up from his lower abdomen, and at this moment if he didn't know what poison it was, then being a man was useless. His deep, say-like eyes displayed a bit of silent endurance. He swept around and found that there were still a few wisps of yellow smoke near the edge of the sealed entrance. That damn toad. Ming Xiu immediately mobilized the ice attribute elemental energy to wash his entire body as he spit those words out fiercely. Lu Muyen followed Ming Xiu's gaze with hers, and when she found those wisps of yellow smoke, her brows furrowed together tightly. She knew that this was the poisonous gas that gathered in that toad's scrotum when it exploded. Even elemental energy couldn't block it out. This sort of poisonous gas wouldn't harm the human body, but once inhaled, while it would have no effect on women, but to men, it would be as if they had eaten aphrodisiac. If it isn't relieved in time, then one would explode and die. Her face couldn't help but be dyed with a layer of worry. There was only her and Ming Xiu here, unless she needed to relieve him of it? She admitted Ming Xiu was special to her, but she had not yet reached the point of sacrificing her body for him, so she could only quickly think of other ways. The yellow smoke showed its effects quickly, and after a while Ming Xiu felt that his entire body was hot, dry and unbearable. His lower abdomen also felt fiery and unendurable. When he smelled the faint fragrance of medicine from Lu Muyen beside him, he only wanted to hold her in his arms and possess her completely. But reason triumphed over desire. He bit his tongue, sped to the place farthest from Lu Muyen, sat cross-legged and attempted to force the poison out. His heart did move for Lu Muyen, but he would never take advantage of this situation to take her. Chapter 97. Ming Xiu's ruthlessness. A flush of red appeared on Ming Xiu's face, which set off his unrivaled handsome appearance with a little more taste of seduction. He kept changing his hand signs, mobilizing the ice element within him to suppress the rising heat in his abdomen and entire body, but the effect wasn't great. The poisonous gas condensed the entire essence of the ice toad, and it was difficult to get rid of after entering the body. Feeling that his whole body was alarmingly hot, and that he just constantly wanted to vent his desires, he immediately took out the spirit cleansing pill that Lu Muyen gave from his interspatial ring and ate it. A coolness spread all over his body, and he gasped for a breath, feeling much more comfortable. But the effect of the medicine evaporated quickly, and in only a quarter of an hour, that hot desire spread through his entire body again. The moment Ming Xiu opened his eyes, he met with Lu Muyen's pair of beautiful eyes dyed with worry. The fire of desire in his chest burned even more vigorously. He immediately shut his eyes and muttered a calming scripture. Lu Muyen's brows furrowed together and couldn't help pacing back and forth. But even when she had such rich experience in her previous life, she had never encountered such a situation before. The flush on Ming Xiu's face grew darker as the ice elemental energy simply couldn't suppress the explosive desire at all. He bit the tip of his tongue hard to keep his reason. "Mo Yen, do you have any ideas?" Lu Muyen thought and thought but still didn't have any ideas. In the end she could only ask for help from Mo Yen on her shoulder. Mo Yen's eyes remained light, fell silent for a moment, then said, "You want detoxify him with yourself?" Lu Muyen furrowed her brows even more and said helplessly, "I don't know. If she must use herself to get rid of Ming Xiu's poison, then she could only suffer a loss and sacrifice her body. After all, the body of a virgin seemed insignificant compared to Ming Xiu's life. Except she hadn't yet fallen in love with Ming Xiu. For her to sacrifice her body just like this to detoxify him this time, she would feel awkward and too embarrassed, so if she could get rid of it using another way, it was for the best." With complexity in his eyes, Mo Yen looked at the flamboyant, red-clothed man, who had stabbed his thigh with a sword in an attempt to stay conscious. "There is another way to save him besides you sacrificing your body." "What way?" Lu Muyen's eyes lit up. "Doesn't the foundation establishment pill you want to refine have the effect of washing the marrow and removing impurities? As long as you refine the foundation establishment pill and give it to him to use, all the impurities in his body will be discharged through the pores. The poisonous gas and body will naturally be discharged together and he wouldn't need to explode. Mo Yen said lightly. Lu Muyan's face displayed a bit of joy. That's right. As long as all the impurities and waste gas that accumulated in the body were discharged, then the poison would naturally be eliminated. It just so happened that she found the deep orchid, so she now had all the medicinal resources needed to refine the foundation establishment pill. She immediately took out the cyan cauldron that she won at the auction, mobilized the fire elemental energy from within her and tossed a tongue of flame into the cauldron. In the previous immortal cultivation world, if one wanted to refine pills, aside from borrowing external fire sources, one had to cultivate to the core formation stage and use pill flames to refine. But because there were many different attributes of elemental energy on this continent, as long as one comprehended the laws of elemental energy to a certain level, one could use elemental energy condensation. Although she could condense fire elemental energy to battle when she was a great sword master, but she couldn't maintain it for a long time, so she couldn't use it to refine pills. But after advancing to the sword spirit cultivation base, the speed of her comprehension of the fire elemental law increased by a bit, so her fire elemental energy condensation could last longer, which was enough for refining pills. Of course, the pill flames of cultivators at the core formation stage was even better than fire elemental energy condensation. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. While the best source of fire for refining pills and tools, however, still came from the mutant flames derived from nature. But mutant flames were difficult to find, and even if one found one, they would be difficult to refine, so those that owned mutant flames were all practically the most gifted with exceptional natural talents. Lu Muyan quickly threw the main ingredients into the cauldron to refine one by one, baking them into powders of different colors. Then she wrapped them up with a layer of mental energy, placing them in one nook of the cauldron so that it wouldn't be affected by the fire elemental energy. She continued to throw several kinds of auxiliary spiritual herbs into the cauldron to refine, one by one. In order to not waste time, she used mental energy to individually wrap more than 10 kinds of auxiliary spiritual herbs to refine and roast together. Suddenly Ming Xiu's eyes were bloodshot and he stood up. His figure that originally wanted to walk towards Lu Muyan halted, used his instincts to suppress the haunting, burning desire, then turned to bombard the wall of the cave punch by punch in an attempt to vent it all out. Lu Muyan's heart tightened, and who would have thought that the one distraction caused her to hear a poochie sound from the cauldron. A few spiritual herbs failed because of insufficient firepower. She took a deep breath, retracted her gaze on Ming Xiu, gradually composed her mind and slowly entered the best free and natural state she possessed in her daily life. Then she threw some more spiritual herbs into the cauldron and closed her eyes to start refining. The sound of gravel falling, and the entire cave rumbling resounded around her ears, but Lu Muyan couldn't hear it. She cut off all the disturbances from the outside world and concentrated on refining the foundation establishment pill, hoping that she, who had become rather rusty now, could form a pill in one go. Time passed bit by bit and Ming Xiu's originally pitch-black eyes were now completely bloodshot. He raised his head and looked, with great difficulty, at the calm woman who was currently refining pills, which made his heart felt more serene. But the desire had already reached a point where he almost couldn't restrain it. This was the first time in his life that he was in such a sorry state, not to mention it was in front of the woman that his heart moved for. He pressed his thin lips together and made a decision. Ming Xiu struck out a few Taoist seals, then he sat on a rock and gradually, a layer of frost emerged on him. The frost increased little by little and in the end, it turned into a piece of ice, sealing his entire person within it. There was a look of shock in Mo Yan's eyes. This man's perseverance and heart were really too strong. If it were another sword master, even if their cultivation level was exceptional, they may have long been unable to hold back and would have reached their hands towards Lu Muyan already. As a demonic beast himself, Mo Yan was well aware of the strength of the poison in that mutant toad's scrotum. Mental energy and elemental energy couldn't block it out, and the most important thing was that it was indiscriminate poisoning. That was, regardless of if one were a normal human or a person with exceptional cultivation base, this poison had the same result. Changing his perspective, he thought to himself that even if he were still at his peak, if he were infected with this kind of poison, he might not have maintained such a long period of reason and sober consciousness like this. Moreover, Ming Xiu, this man, was ruthless to others but was even more ruthless to himself. When his consciousness began to blur because he didn't want to hurt Lu Muyan, he actually sealed himself in ice with elemental energy. If he failed to thaw, then had become an ice sculpture forever. Mo Yen glanced at Lu Mu Yen, who was concentrating on refining pills, sighed, bit the tip of his tongue hard, and a drop of blood essence shot from his mouth and fell straight into the cauldron. He didn't tell Lu Mu Yen just now, but in addition to washing the marrow and removing impurities, he also needed to add his blood essence to completely detoxify the scrotum poison of that toad. It's just that losing this bit of blood essence that was combined with his king-class bloodline meant that all the cultivation he did since awakening had been in vain. 2 hours later, the cauldron made a buzzing sound, and a few bright, smooth and lustrous pills flew out from within the cauldron, its fragrance overflowing. A slender jade-like hand made a gentle wave, and the plump and rounded pills fell into her palm. Lu Mu Yen opened her eyes and took out a porcelain bottle, placing 3 of the foundation establishment pills in it, then held the one that was left in her hand. She stood up and was prepared to give it to Ming Xiu to use. Yet who knew that she would see a scene that shocked her and make her heart tremble? What entered her eyes was an ice sculpture, and horrifyingly, the man sealed within was precisely that red-clothed, seductively handsome Ming Xiu. Note: Ming Xiu. Chapter 98. Touched and Heart Moved. On November 22, 2021 by May Hour, come true table of contents within the ice sculpture. The handsome man had his eyes tightly shut, his face calm, but his inborn domineering temperament, as if looking down upon the world, could still be felt through the ice. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were filled shock. She bit her lower lip and asked Mo Yen with difficulty. He sealed himself in ice? Yes. He almost lost control just now and sealed himself in ice when he almost lost consciousness. Mo Yan's light voice carried a bit of admiration. Ming Xiu. Lu Mu Yen murmured to herself while holding the foundation establishment pill tightly. Her heart was deeply shaken. In order to not hurt her, this man actually harmed himself instead. He actually sealed himself in ice. This act was equivalent to suicide if it wasn't controlled well. It was the first time since Mo Yen met Lu Mu Yen that he felt such a big mood swing from her. The woman who had always been calm and composed could actually tremble lightly. He's a very strong and confident man. Don't worry, if he wasn't certain, he wouldn't be so stupid to seal himself in ice. Lu Mu Yen nodded and calmed herself down. It was an absolute lie if she said she wasn't touched. This man used all his actions to prove to her that he respected her. She held the pill in her hand and walked towards that ice sculpture. She half squatted in front of the ice sculpture and stretched out her hand to caress the man's handsome and enchanting face through the ice. She sighed softly, and a gentle color that had never appeared before rose in her eyes. This man sure was good. He won her recognition so easily. She also had to admit right now that her heart moved. For the first time in her 2 lives, her heart moved for a man. Then Lu Mu Yen hugged the ice sculpture with both hands, and the fire elemental energy in her body flowed out incessantly. She mobilized all the spiritual energy within her to transform into flames, melting the ice in her embrace little by little. Drip, drip. The ice sculpture was melted into droplets that kept dripping to the floor by the small tongues of flames made from fire elemental energy. 2 hours later, the last layer of ice that separated the 2 of them was completely melted by the flames and tightening of her arms. She hugged Ming Xiu's body. But his body wasn't as cold as imagined and was instead rolling with heat. The flush on his face grew deeper and deeper, like a human stove, as if it weren't suppressed, it would explode. While feeling the fiery body of the other party, she also felt that was another stronger force that traveled around his entire body, suppressing the heat of desire that constantly rose from his lower abdomen. It were as if a stone was dropped into the lake of Lu Mu Yan's heart, creating circles upon circles of ripples. She quickly let go of Ming Xiu, fed the pill in her hand into his mouth, then stepped back and meditated not far away from him to restore her spiritual energy. Just when Ming Xiu was feeling that his whole body was about to be ignited, he was suddenly embraced by a soft body with a faint fragrance of medicine. Then a pill entered his mouth and instantly melted. The medicinal effects of the pill flowed down along the meridians to his dantian area. When he felt that his consciousness was a little fuzzy, he heard the woman's clear voice, that was pleasant to the ear as if sweet spring water, in his sea of consciousness. Foundation establishment pill, guide to the dantian to refine with no distractions. First perform 3 macrocosmic orbits, then mobilize the elemental energy in your entire body to your dantian to filter and purify, then come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Ming Xiu's brows knitted tightly, calmed his mind, gradually tossed away that unbearable feeling of desire and heat, and followed Lu Mu Yan's telepathic words to start to refine the foundation establishment pill. The medicine took effect slowly as the elemental energy quickly poured into his dantian from his entire body, filtered, then spread out again. A refreshing feeling overflowed from the meridians all over his body, making him enter a state of cultivation as if there were no one around him. Lu Muyen discovered that Ming Xiu had quickly entered the state of refining and a smile appeared on her lips. This man's perseverance and self-confidence exceeded her imagination. When she used fire elemental energy to melt the ice around Ming Xiu's body, she discovered that he had long been prepared. Even if she didn't do anything, he could still thaw himself, albeit ending with internal injuries, but he would allow the icy air to freeze all the toxins in his body. But by doing this, it would also greatly reduce his cultivation base. Even when the feeling of burning flame struck, this guy could still enter a focused state of cultivation. His heart and control were truly abnormal. Even if his cultivation base dropped, she believed that without too long, Ming Xiu could restore his strength, and perhaps be even stronger. The moment Lu Muyen glanced over, she found that the flush on Ming Xiu's face had receded, and traces of black smoke emerged from the top of his head. His red clothes were also blackened by the impurities that were forced out of his body. Her eyes couldn't help but reveal a touch of astonishment. Wasn't this man's talent just too strong? It only took 2 hours for him to finish cleansing his marrow using the refined foundation establishment pill, and even discharged all the impurities and poisonous gas in his body. Such a strong talent could definitely be ranked in the top 10 in the spiritual world and had even more potential than those almighty immortal cultivators with rare spiritual roots. Feeling a flow of energy from Ming Xiu, she knew that he wanted to use the foundation establishment pill to stabilize his cultivation base, so she poured a foundation establishment pill out from the bottle and fed it to herself, then guided its medicinal effects into her dantian to refine. Then a pure energy wandered around the meridians of her entire body, finally turning into a torrent, all rushing towards her dantian. Time passed bit by bit and 2 days flew by in the blink of an eye. The green mist that wound around Lu Muyen's dantian doubled in size, and inside her body, it also seemed to have undergone a change so drastic it was as if the heaven and earth had flipped. Establishing a foundation was a watershed for cultivators. If one couldn't cross it, then they wouldn't be able to improve for the rest of their lives. After the foundation establishment stage, one would be able to comprehend the laws of the heavenly path and lay the foundation for the core formation and nascent soul more deeply. After running the pure and dense spiritual energy in her body in a macrocosmic orbit, Lu Muyen seemed to have found the feeling of when she was cultivating as an immortal again. A sense of security born from her heart filled the depths of her soul. With her soul sublimated, and the medicinal effects having expelled all the impurities from the washing of the marrow by the marrow cleansing pill last time, Lu Muyen successfully established her foundation. Her sword master's cultivation base also took a step ahead and advanced to middle phase sword spirit. She opened her eyes and found that aside from Mo Yen in the cave, there was only the Jiao egg beside her. She turned her head and scanned the place where Ming Xiu sat before, but there was no one. He went out half a day ago. Mo Yen saw the befuddlement in Lu Muyen's eyes and said to resolve her confusion. A softness rose on Lu Muyen's face, and she reached out to rub Mo Yan's furry head, which attracted a cold glare from the other party. She couldn't help but laugh out aloud. Mo Yen, thank you for that drop of blood essence. She had already noticed that Mo Yen had incorporated his blood essence into the foundation establishment pill. When she was refining the foundation establishment pill, she even felt a pure demonic beast power integrating with her meridians. When she was washing the marrow and removing impurities, it also merged with her bone marrow. Her Bodis toughness also heightened a level, and the flesh refining skill had also reached a bottleneck. Where's the need for politeness between you and me? Mo Yen turned his head, feeling slightly awkward as he uttered these words. Lu Muyen's heart warmed, and she wanted to reach out and rub his head again but was avoided by him. She restrained her smile and said, "I'll refine the pill for you later." The power contained in that drop of blood essence of Mo Yan's probably consumed all his recent cultivation. Lu Muyen felt indebted, so she just wanted to quickly refine the pill that can improve his cultivation for him to refine. All right. As soon as the words of the one human one beast fell, Ming Xiu, dressed in his flamboyant red clothes, flew down from the hole on the top of the cave that was created by the bombardment of thunder. He walked straight to Lu Muyen, his gaze deep and unfathomable as the endless sea while revealing a bewitching smile. "Woman, you're awake." Chapter 99. Reveal until Lu Muyen stood up and faced Ming Xiu with a light upwards curve on her lips. The two had a tacit understanding, and neither spoke of the poisoning from before. Where did you go? Where does the top of the cave lead? Lu Muyen glanced at the pitch-black top of the cave and asked. Ming Xiu took out a bag of brown fruits from his interspatial ring and handed one to Lu Muyen. I was afraid you'd be hungry when you wake up, so I went to find some spiritual fruits. This mountain top isn't far from the wooden hut of your academy's trial site. Lu Muyen didn't feel hungry at this point because as long as one successfully established their foundation, one didn't need to eat food anymore, but she didn't want to let down Ming Xiu's good intention. She took the fruit and copied how Ming Xiu peeled the skin, revealing a pink fruit within. She bit into it, a delicious sweet and sour taste, and it even had the slight effect of strengthening bones. This fruit is a Qilin fruit one? She hadn't seen this kind of fruit in the spiritual world before, but it was recorded in the Tianling continent's flora record. Qilin fruit generally grew in icy places and was exceptionally rare. It had the effect of helping humans and demonic beasts strengthen their bones. With frequent intake, it could even achieve the effect of tempering the body. Yes. I see that your body is as strong as a demonic beast, so you must cultivate a special body refining skill. I happen to know a place where Qilin fruit grew, so picked it all back. Ming Xiu stuffed the entire bag of Qilin fruit to Lu Muyen. Save it and eat it slowly. Lu Muyen wasn't quarrelsome either. Ming Xiu didn't refine his body as he used long-range attacks every time he fought, so the effect of this Qilin fruit was more suitable for her. Then thank you very much. Ming Xiu furrowed his brows slightly and his devilishly handsome face approached Lu Muyen's, chuckling as he said, We still need a thank you between you and me? A faint pale pink rose on Lu Muyen's extremely beautiful face. She took a step back and changed the topic. When will you go to the place where the heavenly frost golden crystal is sublimating? Her heart did move for Ming Xiu, but their relationship still wasn't deep enough to be together just yet. She still had other things to do. Besides, she didn't understand Ming Xiu enough, only that this person was very powerful, had a deep connection to the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance and nothing else. She wanted to go with the flow. If they were interested in each other, they would eventually be together in the future by fate. She preferred feelings that came naturally. Of course, because Ming Xiu was special to her, she didn't reject his closeness. There was a smile in Ming Xiu's long and narrow eyes. This little woman didn't resist his closeness, which was a good start. According to the intel in the reports, there should be another 5 or 6 days left for the formation of the heavenly frost golden crystal. It only takes 3 days from here. I still have to go to a place to find some materials for refining magic tools. Do you want to come with me? Lu Muyen thought for a moment, then raised her eyes and said, I want to go back to hand in the second trial mission first, then head to the place where the heavenly frost golden crystal's forming, otherwise I won't make it. Ming Xiu's fire elemental energy comprehension was even deeper than hers, so she had sighed inwardly before, that if this person wasn't a smith, it would truly be a waste. Hearing that he wanted to find the materials to refine tools, she understood now. This guy was indeed a smith and his grade definitely wasn't low. All right. They'll give you the place where the heavenly frost golden crystal's forming, and we'll meet there in 6 days. Ming Xiu took out an empty jade slip, placed it on his forehead and drew a picture with his mental energy, then handed it to Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen took the jade slip and browsed through it using her mental energy, remembered the map in her heart, then nodded, all right. The two of them didn't stay too long either as they had their own things to do. Ming Xiu wrapped an arm around Lu Muyen's waist and took her out of the cave within the cave in the cold pond. Then he sent her near the small wooden hut for the trials of Yanzhou Kingdom before hurriedly leaving. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Inside the wooden hut, Yun Tsang, Lan Si and Yun Ji were discussing with each other around the furnace over tea. They all revealed surprise when they saw Lu Muyen enter the door. Lu girl, you've already completed your second mission? Yun Tsang pointed to the position opposite him and motioned for her to sit down. Lu Muyen nodded with a smile and took out, one by one, the 20 mission items she collected for the 3 to check. Lan Si picked up her mission list and checked it against the mission items, then a meaningful, gentle smile rose on his face. Lu Muyen, isn't your efficiency a bit too fast? You only took 4 days to gather all the items on the mission list. You sure hide your skills well. Lu Muyen glanced at Lan Si and was too lazy to beat around the bush with him. She rubbed the back of the little beast in her arms and said, I can find these items on the mission list this time mainly because of him. Lan Si and the others followed her words and cast their gazes on the fire cloud mink with what appeared to be a lifelike flame on his forehead, and they came to understand. The fire cloud mink's ability to find spiritual herbs and spiritual items were known by all, But they didn't expect that the one won by Lu Muyen would be this powerful. They really didn't know if she was just lucky or because her eyes were sharp. Lan Si believed that it was the latter more. Lu Muyen stretched out her hand to pour herself a cup of tea, took a light slip, then raised her head to ask Yun Song, "Imperial Master, may I ask if I can do the next mission yet?" "Not yet. You have to wait for the next round's list of names to come out before you're given a mission. But you're sure to enter the next final round of the trial." Yun Song's wrinkled face revealed a rare, kind smile. Towards Lu Muyen's performance he was very satisfied. "How long must we wait?" Lu Muyen asked with furrowed brows. Seeing that she seemed to be thinking about things, Lan Si looked at her and asked with a smile, "You have something to do?" It definitely wouldn't be something simple for her to ask the time so urgently like this. Lu Muyen reviewed the information provided by Ming Xiao in her mind. Recalling that when she pushed the door open earlier, she seemed to have heard the three mention the 10 distinguished clans, so she guessed that the three still didn't know about the news of the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal for the time being. The Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal was to be birthed and the 10 distinguished clans concealed and sealed the news, so there must be powerhouses hidden in the trial teams. Although Ming Xiao was there, but there would be no guarantee everything was foolproof. She might as well tell this news to the three of them, which could help her better reap benefits during the confusion. "Yes, I'll be hurrying to a place in 2 days." Lu Muyen nodded, and then made an appearance as if she were thinking about something. After a while, she asked the three, "I wonder if Imperial teacher and instructors have heard a piece of news?" "A piece of news? We haven't heard anything recently." Lan Si exchanged glances with the Imperial teacher and continued, "Lu Muyen, don't keep us guessing. Just tell us directly." Lu Muyen chuckled softly, took another sip of tea from the cup, then said slowly, "Do you know why the pupils of the 10 distinguished clans came to the glacial mountain range for their trial? We're also curious about that, but we've looked into it and found nothing unusual." Lan Si stared at Lu Muyen, then asked solemnly, "Unless Lu Muyen, you heard something about it?" They also suspected that this time the 10 distinguished clans came to the glacial mountain range with a purpose, but the news sent back by the spies weren't anything unusual. Although they were still sending people to investigate, but Lan Si just felt that Lu Muyen discovered some sort of secret. The main purpose of the 10 distinguished clans this time isn't the selection trial, but rather they discovered the location of where the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal will sublimate, and they're using the trial as a guise to cover for their movements. Lu Muyen spoke of the news that even these three didn't know of firmly. "What?" Yun Song and the others looked at Lu Muyen incredulously. "Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal." So it was the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal, that sort of spiritual treasure that was difficult to find even in 1,000 years. No wonder the 10 distinguished clans would seal the news and use selecting the participants for the continental tournament for hegemony as a cover to come to the glacial mountain range for the trial. So it turned out that they indeed had a deeper purpose. One Qilin, also known as Kirin, no real English translation except for unicorn, but unicorn is a different species altogether in China too, aka Du Jiao Shou. Leaving it as the pinyin. Chapter 100. Various parties dispatched. The shock in the eyes of the three weren't concealed. Hearing such explosive news made them all unable to sit still. "Lu girl, how did you get this news? Is it accurate?" Yun Song's expression was deep and solemn. Lu Muyen nodded with certainty, "I'm certain the news is accurate. But it's not convenient to tell Imperial teacher how I obtained it." For the time being, she didn't want to disclose that she and Ming Xiao knew each other to others. Yun Song knocked on the table lightly. He guessed that Lu Muyen's news came from the Ling clan. After all, the 10 distinguished clans sealed the news jointly and they had investigated it for so long yet received no definitive news, so it was impossible for her to obtain this secret from someone else. "Lan Si, Yunji, what do you two think?" Yun Song looked up at the two and asked after a bit, which also fully demonstrated his trust in the two. A smile of interest rose on Lan Si's gentle and refined face. "Such an opportunity, naturally we should go join the fun." The Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal was very useful to him. Since he knew that this thing was being born, then he naturally wanted to go compete for it. "I also think it's necessary to join in the fun." Yun Jia's eyes also displayed some enthusiasm and desire. Yun Song nodded, then asked Lu Muyen, "Lu girl, do you know the location of where the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal is forming?" "I do." According to the intel, there is still around 6 days left until the formation of the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal. Lu Muyen replied with a smile. With a spiritual item like the heavenly frost golden crystal being formed, I believe that the 10 distinguished clans have also sent out experts in accompaniment. I will send a message to the Empire to ask for reinforcements. Yun Tsang immediately told the two of them, wait one more day, and you two take those students who've completed the second trial mission there. They'll arrive later. Yes. Lan Si and Yunji replied. On the second day, the students participating in the trial returned one after another. Yun Ziamo, Lu Mu Bai, Yun Lan, Yun Jin and Xiao Ziong all completed their tasks before night. But what surprised Lu Mu Yen a little was that among the people who returned, aside from Jihan Su and Fu Qin who were within expectations, the winner of the Earth class who was hostile towards her, named Lu Xiang also completed the second trial mission. She lowered her eyes to hide the look in her eyes and became more wary of Lu Xiang in her heart. This woman felt rather not simple to her. At night, as the time ordered by the imperial teacher arrived, Lan Si announced to those who had returned, congratulations to all of you for successfully passing the second round of the trial test. Now I have one important thing to tell everyone. Seeing the confusion in the eyes of the several people, Lan Si also stopped keeping them suspenseful. We have received reliable intel that the purpose of the 10 distinguished clans coming to the glacial mountain range for the trial is actually not to compete for the quota, but because they discovered where the heavenly frost golden crystal was about to sublimate and form. I will take you there to have a look. This time it doesn't count as a trial mission. The final trial mission is to be determined and will continue after returning. Of course, if you can get even a tiny amount of heavenly frost golden crystal, then it's considered your fortuitous encounter. You don't have to hand it in to the Academy or Empire. Lan Si then added, you can choose to go or not to go. Hearing it was the heavenly frost golden crystal, the eyes of those here lit up brightly. No one wanted to miss such a good opportunity, so no one chose to withdraw. Very well. You have one night to rest. Well, leave early tomorrow morning. Lan Si's gaze swept over them with satisfaction and ordered. Yes. At night, Lu Mu Yen and Lu Mu Bai, together with the others, sat drinking tea and chatting. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, drinking a cup of warm tea in such cold weather was very comfortable, so as long as they were within the wooden hut, Lu Mu Yen would make a pot of spiritual tea. Yenner, did you hear this news from the Ling clan? Or from Yi Qing Han? Lu Mu Bai felt that it was strange ever since he learnt that the news was told to the imperial teacher and the others by his younger sister. The 10 distinguished clans were together in this, so they definitely wouldn't allow anyone to spread such news this time. That's why he constantly felt that Lu Mu Yan's source for the news wasn't from the Ling clan or the Yi clan, but he couldn't guess who else would know such secret information. Neither. A friend told me. Lu Mu Yan shook her head but didn't tell them about Ming Xiu. Based on what occurred during the auction last time, her elder brother and the others didn't know that guy. Lu Mu Bai's indifferent eyes grew darker, but he didn't continue to ask any more. Let's rest first. We still need to hurry over tomorrow. Yun Lan and the others also saw that Lu Mu Yen didn't want to say any more, so after hearing Lu Mu Bai's words, they all sat alone and started to recover their physical strength and elemental energy. Outside the wooden hut, in a place hidden in the thicket, a woman stood under a big tree as if waiting for someone. Not long after, a man in a black cloak appeared next to the woman. His face couldn't be seen clearly and his voice was hoarse, obviously deepened on purpose. How's the plan being completed? The woman froze, then immediately recovered her calm and said respectfully, Lord Secret Envoy Lu Mu Bai and the others always surround Lu Mu Yen, so it's difficult to act. During the second trial mission she was too fast and I lost her, but now there's an opportunity. Oh? What opportunity? The man suppressed the anger that made him almost berate her. The 10 distinguished clans found the place where the heavenly frost golden crystal's going to form. Well, rush there tomorrow with Lan Si. By then there'll be a lot of people snatching for it. In the confusion, it'll be much easier to get rid of Lu Mu Yen without being discovered. The woman said cautiously. The man froze for a moment, obviously not expecting to hear such news. What? You mean the heavenly frost golden crystal? No wonder the 10 distinguished clans would choose to complete their trial in the glacial mountain range. So it's because they discovered such a peak-grade spiritual item. Do you know when the heavenly frost golden crystal will form? The man paused, then asked with a hint of excitement in his tone. There's still around 6 days before forming. The woman replied. The man drew his cloak tighter around him, then asked, Do you know the specific location? That's not clear. Lan Si didn't tell us in detail. The woman's eyes carried with it slight obscurity. The man considered it a little, then said, Act according to the plan. When you get to the location of the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal, you must take advantage of the chaos to find a chance to dispose of Lu Muyen. Of course, it would be better to kill Lu Mu Bai together as well. Understood. When you leave tomorrow, remember to leave a secret signal. It'll lead some people to follow secretly. From the man's throat sounded a sinister cackle. We'll definitely obtain the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal. When that time comes, we'll send people to cooperate with you to kill those siblings. Go back first, don't let that old bastard Yun Song discover your identity. Yes, Lord Secret Envoy. The woman quickly turned and returned to the wooden hut, while the man disappeared into the woods as if he had never appeared before. After a while, Lu Muyen opened her shut eyes and looked at the person, who had just pushed open the door to enter, thoughtfully. Early the next morning, Lan Si and Yun Ji led the few instructors and students who had completed their second trial mission towards an area near the inner ring of the glacial mountain range. At the same time, the 10 distinguished clans eliminated a portion of their pupils and let them continue using the selection trial as a cover, allowing various parties of superiors to lead their clan's core pupils in the same direction. With all parties surging, in addition to the human sword masters, there were also many high-level demonic beasts appearing in the area near the inner ring of the glacial mountain range, and they all headed in one direction. Chapter 101. Chaotic Battle. According to Ming Xiu's map, the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal was under a large iceberg close to the inner ring of the glacial mountain range. From the wooden hut for the trial, it was only 3 days away. Lan Si took Lu Muyen and the others rushing all the way. On the way they constantly encountered demonic beasts, but they slayed them one by one. 4 days later, the group reached a deep and dense forest where no ice blue could be seen. The dense plants that grew in the forest were all red, and even the soil was a dark red here. As far as the eye could see, it was red through and through, as if an undulating sea of fire. The rustling sound from demonic beasts running could be heard from time to time, and it was occasionally accompanied by a few beast roars. The most important thing was that when they encountered demonic beasts nearby, they were no longer attacked, and those demonic beasts that ran towards the depths of the woods just directly ignored them. Lan Si, why do these demonic beasts give up attacking when they see us? Ji Xian asked with a solemn expression on his face as he watched a Tier 5 water crocodile dash past them quickly but not attack. Lan Si had a gentle smile on his handsome and refined face. They're naturally going for the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal. It seems that the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal's not far from forming. It's even causing such madness from the demonic beast, as expected of a legendary spiritual item. Yunji sighed with mixed emotions. Let's quickly go too. Not only might we not even be able to drink any soup if we arrive late, but we may even encounter a group attacked by demonic beasts. Lan Si waved his hand and led the group of people towards the depths of the woods quickly. The longer Lu Muyen walked, the more there was an indescribable sense of oppression. It not only came from this spooky red forest, but there was also a feeling of being enveloped by something. Mo Yin, have you noticed anything unusual? Lu Muyen asked Mo Yin on her shoulders as she walked. Mo Yan's cold eyes were also dyed with a layer of vigilance at this time. This forest has been locked onto by a Tier 7 demonic beast. We're bound to encounter the attack of a group of beasts not far ahead. Tier 7 demonic beast? Then haven't they already transformed? Lu Muyen was startled, but there wasn't too much shock. With a spiritual item like the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal being born, it'd be weird if there weren't any high-tier demonic beasts competing for it. A Tier 7 demonic beast was equivalent to the strength of a human sword sovereign. She wondered if there were any sword sovereign experts sent out within the 10 distinguished clans. There definitely would be quite a few sword monarchs. On her side, it seemed that only Ming Xiu was a sword sovereign, so when the chaotic battle begins, he might not even be able to protect her. It truly was perilous. Fortunately, there's only the aura of one Tier 7 demonic beast. If there were more demonic beast kings, let alone you guys competing for the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal, I'm afraid that you won't even return alive. Mo Yin withdrew his demonic sense and said lightly. Lu Muyen's lips curled up. How do you know that after the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal's fully formed, there'll be no other transformation stage demonic beasts that appear? This time we're really pulling teeth on a tiger's mouth one, and whether we live or die is unknown. Although she said it was dangerous, but her eyes were dense with battle intent and determination. After she successfully established her foundation, she must begin to nurture her natal magic treasure, and the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal was something that would have even made her desire to obtain it in the spiritual world. Now that she had such an opportunity, she naturally didn't want to miss it. Although there were many obstacles ahead, but it wasn't as if there weren't any chances. And even if she couldn't obtain the heavenly frost golden crystal, she still had the skills to save her own life. Only those who took risks could obtain wealth. I see that you're not afraid of Tier 7 demonic beasts at all? Mo Yen glanced at Lu Mu Yen and said, "What's there to be afraid? What should come will always eventually come. If you lose mentally, then why do you even speak of competing for the heavenly frost golden crystal?" Lu Mu Yen unconsciously revealed an inborn self-confidence and intimidating manner. She had never bowed her head down to fate. Mo Yen felt Lu Mu Yan's firm determination, and there was a touch of appreciation in his eyes. It was a wise decision to sign a contract with this woman. How could his master easily retreat because of the numerous obstacles and dangers ahead? The path of cultivation had always been to defy the heavens, and going forward courageously was the decisiveness that the strong should have. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, of course, one couldn't act recklessly. If there were already 3 or 5 demonic beasts in the transformation stage ahead, then there wasn't any need to go and send themselves to their death in vain for a spiritual item. Everyone, those who have defensive magic tools, take it out and prepare for battle. Lan Si looked at the crowd not far ahead of them and made a hand gesture to the several people. They're already at war ahead of us. Mo Yan's voice also entered Lu Mu Yan's sea of consciousness at the same time. Lu Mu Yan's mental energy also probed the fierce battle ahead. She took out the golden long whip and held it in her hand, then mobilized a shield that her dad had given her before she left in front of her, her eyes filled with interest. Roar. Boom. As soon as she approached the depths of the woods, the fighting in front of her grew more intense. The smile on Lan Si's face had subsided, and he instructed everyone, "Let's go have a look. Remember, your life is most important. Be careful." After speaking, he leapt in that direction. Lu Mu Yen and the others also followed him quickly. Around less than a quarter of an hour away, Lu Mu Yen and the others stopped by a rock. The dense red forest ahead had already been razed to the ground by the fight between the humans and demonic beasts. What entered the eyes was a colony of low-level fire ant colony, gushing out like a tide, besieging the elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. And their arrival also attracted the attention of the leaders of the 10 distinguished clans. Lan Si, bring your people to help. We'll talk about other things after killing them, otherwise it'll only be a dead end for everyone. The middle-aged man who was acquainted with Lan Si and met in the green forest before resisted the siege of fire ants as he split his focus, yelling towards Lan Si. The elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans were strong, but the fire ant colony came wave after wave. The sword monarch powerhouses of the clans had all crossed over the fire ant colony to find the queen fire ant to kill, so they could only hold out, but there was already not much elemental energy remaining in them. Now that Lan Si's people were here, whether it was for the heavenly frost golden crystal or not, they naturally had to pull them down the water together too. Otherwise, even if they succeed in breaking out of this siege, they wouldn't allow Lan Si and the others who looked on doing nothing to share a bowl of porridge 3. Lan Si also understood this principle, otherwise he wouldn't bring the students over in such a hurry. Alright. Well, we'll stand away for you, you guys go recover quickly. Lan Si yelled to the man, then turned to Lu Mu Yen and the others and said, "Go up and share some of their burden. Use your all, don't feel like you'll get lucky. This way we'll be qualified to negotiate with them later." Yes. The several people answered in unison. Not to mention that it was for the heavenly frost golden crystal, just to save their own lives, they also had to go up. The moment they stepped onto this land, the moment they were locked on by the fire ant colony. If the pupils of the 10 distinguished clans were wiped out, it would be their turn next. Let's go directly to the front and let them have a rest to catch their breaths. Yun Ziamo, with furrowed brows, said to the group of people as he saw that the pupils of the 10 distinguished clans were currently very tired, and their elemental energy had been exhausted too much, almost to the point that they could hold on no longer. Yes. Right after Lu Mu Yen and the others replied, they leapt up and landed directly at the center of the battle, meeting the fire ant colony as they brandished their magic treasures. One Chinese idiom meaning very dangerous. I mean, just imagine pulling teeth from a wild tiger's mouth when they're not sedated. XD to get them wrapped up in it as well. English has the saying of dragging someone down with them / me etc. as well. 3 original Chinese saying use the word soup instead of porridge, but it just means to have a share of the spoils / profits. Chapter 102. Save Yi Qinglu. As soon as Lu Mu Yen and the others landed on the ground, they brandished the magic tools in their hands, attacking in a frenzy, temporarily blocking the siege of the fire ant colony in front of them. The elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans immediately stepped back, taking turns to meditate and restore their elemental energy and physical strength. Those who had pills that replenished elemental energy would occasionally take one out to swallow reluctantly as if their flesh hurt from using one. Lan Si and the several instructors weren't idle either. They quickly joined the battle. While waving his long sword, he asked the middle-aged man, "Where are your sword monarch powerhouses?" "Looking for the queen fire ant. As long as we kill it, we can get out of this trouble. Now we can only bide our time." The middle-aged man repelled a wave of fire ants and replied helplessly. Lan Si nodded and quickly moved beside the middle-aged man to share his burden. The others also took the opportunity to regain their elemental energy and rest for a while. Time passed bit by bit and the people on Lu Muyan's side were consuming elemental energy enormously. Even if they took turns to kill with the elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans, it wouldn't be enough to survive the endless waves of the fire ant colony that surfaced from all directions. They simply couldn't bear this kind of human wave tactic, and many of the pupils' elemental energy were gradually being hollowed out. From time to time, there would also be blood-curdling screams of those that were dragged into the fire ant colony, then quickly drowned and gnawed away, leaving only a skeleton. Those that have pills take it all out and eat. Saving them will only leave you a dead end. After taking an elemental energy-enhancing pill, the middle-aged man yelled towards the crowd. The elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans watched their companions bury themselves among the fire ants and no longer felt pained about using pills. They took out their own to take, replenishing their elemental energy while continuing to battle. As for the people on Lu Muyan's side, the speed of the natural recovery of elemental energy also couldn't keep up with the speed of consuming it, so Yun Ziamo took the lead and began to take out the pills on him to use. In comparison, Xiao Xiang's had the most elemental energy-enhancing pills, so he threw a pill each to Lu Muyan and the others. Because Lu Muyan had succeeded in establishing her foundation, the spiritual energy in her was even more abundant than an initial phase Sword King. However, such a high-intensity battle also consumed nearly half of her spiritual energy, so the moment she caught Xiao Xiang's pill, she sent it to her mouth. Then she immediately furrowed her brows. The effect of this pill was a bit too poor. To think it's a grade 2 pill, it was simply not at the same standard as the spiritual energy replenishing pill that she refined. The efficacy of one elemental energy-enhancing pill could only replenish 1/5 of the elemental energy. This speed couldn't even keep up with the loss of elemental energy from fighting. Squeak. Suddenly, a piercing scream came from underground, and accompanying the sound were more fire ants that dug through the ground. Although the amount in each wave was less than before, but their levels were far higher than the previous groups of ants. Most of them were Tier 3 or Tier 4, and there were even occasionally Tier 5 fire ants emerging. Elder brother. Due to the chaotic battle against the demonic beasts, Lu Muyan had no chance to greet Yiqing Han and the others. Now she heard a familiar voice not far away. With a turn of her head, she saw that Yiqing Lu was besieged by more than a dozen Tier 4 fire ants, and her calf had been bitten by a Tier 5 fire ant that was more than half a meter long, which suddenly burrowed out from underground. The blood wasn't stopping and the 2 Yi clan pupils that were nearby were simply overwhelmed and couldn't assist. Meanwhile, Yiqing Han was surrounded by more than 30 Tier 4 fire ants and simply couldn't break free. He could only frantically kill the fire ants that were constantly attacking with bloodshot eyes, desperate to hurry over. But only after moving a little more than a meter, 3 Tier 5 fire ants suddenly emerged from the red earth before him, ground their sharp fangs and attacked him, deliberately blocking his way. Little sister. Yiqing Han dealt with the 3 Tier 5 fire ants while splitting his focus to pay attention to Yiqing Le's situation. The other pupils and superiors of the Yi clan were all entangled with Tier 4 and Tier 5 fire ants that were constantly emerging from underground. They could barely protect themselves, so they simply had no energy to break free from the obstacles and save her. Seeing that the circle magic treasure in Yiqing Le's hand was knocked down by another Tier 5 demonic beast that appeared on her side, the surrounding fire ants quickly wanted to submerge and swallow her. Yiqing Han yelled and tried to free himself using all he had to save her, but there were simply too many fire ants. Just as he killed one, there would be another 2 more to besiege him. His sword aura was constantly being brandished, but his pace simply wasn't fast enough. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. His body trembled slightly, his heart palpitated fiercely, and his eyes were bloodshot, staring at Yiqing Lu being besieged by fire ants. Yiqing Le's situation also attracted other people's attention. After all, she was the treasured daughter of the Yi clan's patriarch, and if something went wrong with her, no one could explain themselves. But because everyone was entangled by multiple fire ants, no one was able to rescue her and could only watch her, with her pale face, being pushed to the ground by a few Tier 4 fire ants. 2 Tier 5 fire ants swiftly stepped forward, ground the 2 ferocious fangs in their mouths, then one of them lowered its head, opened its mouth and bit towards her head. "Little sister." Yi Qinghan's voice was desperate. Ignoring the besieging fire ants, he wanted to quickly rush over, but he was still dragged back by a few Tier 5 fire ants, and was even bitten on his back a few times. Yi Qingle's face was pale and there was a touch of despair in her eyes. She didn't expect that she would be buried in the mouths of these fire ants today. She fixedly looked in Yi Qinghan's direction, her little face full of reluctance to go. Pa. Just when everyone thought that Yi Qinglu was going to be eaten by the 2 Tier 5 fire ants, a ghost-like white figure suddenly flashed a few times and landed in front of Yi Qinglu. A beam of golden light flickered and the Tier 5 fire ant that was about to bite down on Yi Qingle's head was whipped more than 3 meters away. Such a breathtaking scene made everyone feel slightly relieved. Only after the white figure landed were they surprised to discover that it was actually Lu Muyan. Elder sister Muyan. Yi Qinglu was already prepared to die, but she didn't expect that Lu Muyan would arrive to save her. A layer of mist rose in her eyes as if she had found a backbone. Lu Muyan hurriedly approached Yi Qinglu and pulled her back more than 10 steps away to avoid the attack of the other Tier 5 fire ant behind her. She furrowed her arched brows and looked at the many bite wounds on Yi Qingle's leg where blood flowed incessantly. She immediately took out a bottle of powdered medicine and scattered the powder on her wound, helped her up, then said, "Qinglu, don't be afraid, I'm here." "Yes, elder sister Muyan, be careful." Yi Qinglu sniffed and forcefully held back the tears in her eyes. She couldn't let Lu Muyan be distracted. Seeing Lu Muyan suddenly come to save his younger sister like a female celestial, Yi Qinghan's heart that was in despair gradually came back to life, and that white figure was also deeply imprinted in his heart. Snap, snap. The Tier 5 fire ant that was whipped away was completely angered now. A human woman with a cultivation base 1 tier lower than itself actually dared to treat it in such a way. It was unforgivable. It ground its fangs as it leapt towards Lu Muyan rapidly. Seeing that it was robbed of its food, the Tier 5 fire ant that was about to bite Yi Qinglu from behind also became angry. With a roar, it besieged them again together with the encircling Tier 4 fire ants. Lu Muyan's eyes grew cold, took out a white porcelain bottle and stuffed it in Yi Qingle's hands. "Quickly take it all to restore your elemental energy." Then she waved the golden long whip and greeted the dozen or so fire ants that had come up to encircle her. Her black eyes that were originally as bright as the stars now had a sliver of unbridled battle-intent surface in them, mixed with endless icy coldness. Pok, pok. The others watched as the whip in Lu Muyan's hands were as if it had come to life, whipping away each fire ant that approached her and Yi Qinglu one by one. What was even more shocking and unexpected was that, as if it had grown eyes of its own, each whip would directly pierce through a Tier 4 fire ant's head, wrap around the crystal core and pull it right out. In just a moment, the bodies of Tier 4 fire ants piled up all around her. The 2 Tier 5 fire ants already bore elementary intelligence, so seeing that she was so bold and powerful, they immediately stopped in their steps and made a few high shrill cries towards the sky. Then all one saw were the many fire ants, that besieged the others, turn and quickly crawl in Lu Muyan's direction. Countless low-level fire ants also surfaced out of the ground to surround Lu Muyan and Yi Qinglu, narrowing the attack range bit by bit. "Yener. Muyan." Several anxious and panicked voices of men sounded around, but because of the influx of fire ants that encircled Lu Muyan and Yi Qinglu, even if the others wanted to turn around and help, it would be difficult to break though for a while. At this time there was only one thought in everyone's mind: Lu Muyan was done for. Chapter 103. Prodigal Lady. With Lu Muyan besieged, Lu Mu Bai, Yunlan and the others were all extremely anxious. They quickly slayed the surrounding fire ants and wanted to step forward to rescue her, but there were simply too many ants and too few people. No matter how madly they killed them, they were still held back. Yi Qinghan split the 2 Tier 5 fire ants before him into halves and ran towards the group of fire ants. But as soon as he approached the periphery of the battle ring, he was encircled and suppressed by the frenzied fire ants that had spun around. Lu Muyan waved her golden long whip continuously, and occasionally leapt up and used her powerful body to physically face off against two Tier 5 fire ants who wanted to sneak attack her. The two Tier 5 fire ants, with extremely tough bodies that shone with a cold red glow all over, when colliding with Lu Muyen were repelled back, and their eyes revealed some confusion. When did the body of a human become so strong and hard? Yi Qinglu ate all the pills that Lu Muyen had given her. As soon as the pills were taken, it turned into boundless elemental energy that spread throughout her meridians, and her dry dantian was quickly replenished. Her eyes lit up, and the moment her elemental energy was replenished, she beckoned with her hands to the magic treasure rings on the ground. The two rings immediately lit up brightly and turned into two streams of light, flying into her hands. The wound on her leg also stopped bleeding thanks to Lu Muyan's medicinal powder. Even the torn opening was slowly healing. She threw her two rings, approached Lu Muyen, and fought with her back-to-back to deal with the besieging group of fire ants. "Elder Sister Muyen, what do we do?" Yi Qinglu watched as the fire ants attacked them in groups. Her despair remained, but she still looked towards Lu Muyen with trust in her eyes. Lu Muyen wielded the golden long whip, and practically dealt fatal blows with each strike as fire ants fell in front of her one by one. A murderous aura that had never been revealed before rose on her. She took out another bottle of spiritual energy replenishing pills and stuffed it to Yi Qinglu, reassuring, "Fight. The moment your elemental energy is exhausted, immediately replenish it. You must protect yourself well." "Yes." Yi Qinglu took the white porcelain bottle that still carried Lu Muyan's body temperature. Seeing that at the same time as brandishing her long whip, she still unconsciously protected her from harm, a warm current rose in her heart. Aside from her elder brother, Lu Muyen was the first person to protect her with her life, and her eyes couldn't help but feel a little moist. Lu Muyen controlled the shield in front of her and separated it into 4 afterimages, enclosing Yi Qinglu within. Then she narrowed her eyes and her lips rose in a daring arc. She tapped her foot lightly and flew straight into the group of fire ants. Did Lu Muyen go crazy? Not far away, those that slayed the fire ants while also focusing on Lu Muyan's battle saw her rush into the group of fire ants as if she were seeking death and couldn't help but let out a sound of surprise. "Yener." Lu Mu Bei's expression changed drastically. Although he knew that his younger sister wouldn't do impulsive things if she didn't have any certainty, but he still couldn't help but feel his heart rise and hover in his chest. He headed towards Lu Muyen as he killed Muyen. Yun Lan, Qi Xian and the others were also taken aback by her actions. Such behavior was undoubtedly suicide. What was wrong with her? Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth, suppressed the shock and worry in his heart, then madly killed the fire ants to break through and join Lu Muyen. Lan Si, who had been able to temporarily free himself, couldn't help but reveal a worried look and headed quickly in Lu Muyen's direction. He couldn't let her fall here. Not far away, Lu Xiang, who was dealing with more than a dozen Tier 3 fire ants, revealed a gloating smile in her eyes. "Lu Muyen, this trash was really stupid. She actually put herself in such danger for Yi Qinglu, and now she acted even more stupidly, rushing into the group of fire ants to seek death. It seemed that even without her needing to act, this trash would still die without a grave." Xueling and Xianing Xian also had the same thoughts as her. They all wished that Lu Muyen would just be torn apart and swallowed by the fire ant colony. When everyone all thought that Lu Muyen wouldn't live long, suddenly, a white shadow quickly shuttled through the crevices between the fire ant colony. Her golden long whip was fast, accurate and ruthless, piercing the weakest part of the fire ant's head where the demonic crystal was, either shattering the demonic crystal or pulling it out. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. What stunned everyone even more was the fact that she frantically waved the long whip in one hand while holding a white porcelain bottle in the other, constantly pouring pills into her mouth. The fragrance of pills overflowed, and the people surrounding her who smelled the serene scent within the pills were shocked. This was definitely a high-level pill that was even more effective than the elemental energy-enhancing pill. How did she have so many? Lunatic, Lu Muyen, this woman's a lunatic. The elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans couldn't help but sigh with mixed emotions as they watched Lu Muyan's desperate killing of the high-level fire ants at close range. Even when her body clashed against the hard shell of the fire ant, she was not at all inferior. In fact, her Buddhist toughness was even stronger. What left them most speechless was that after this woman finished a bottle of pills, she would immediately take out another bottle, and then crazily pour it into her mouth as if she didn't want money one. Occasionally she even freed some time to toss white porcelain bottles after white porcelain bottles of pills towards Lu Mu Bai and the others who were heading over to help her, and even shouted words that made their flesh hurt. "Eat as much as you want, I promise there'll be enough." Was this meat? She even said to eat as much as they want and that shall have enough. Xiao Ziong caught a bottle of pills and quickly poured one into his mouth. It melted instantly, and his mouth was full of the refreshing medicinal fragrance. His elemental energy was also quickly replenished. He didn't expect Lu Muyan's pill to actually be more than 5 times as effective as the elemental energy enhancing pill. Just what kind of pill was this? It was truly amazing. Wait, that's not right. Lu Muyan, this prodigal woman, was truly crazy. How could she waste such a pill like this? Lu Muyan, you lunatic woman, don't be so prodigal. Save a bit, save a bit. Xiao Ziong put the bottle away and shouted to Lu Muyan. As an alchemist, he firmly could not tolerate such prodigal behavior. Lu Muyan, this woman was just a complete prodigal lady. She might not feel distressed, but he felt distressed for her. Lu Muyan poured a few pills into her mouth, then when she heard Xiao Ziong's shout, the corner of her lips couldn't help but twitch. Just look at what's happening right now and he still wants to fuss about this? She lacked everything, but she just didn't lack this sort of low-level pill. Before coming to the glacial mountain range, she had already thought of numerous hazards, bought a bunch of spiritual herbs, and refined nearly 100 bottles of spiritual energy replenishing pills for emergencies. Idiot. Hearing Xiao Ziong still yelling, Lu Muyan glanced at him disdainfully and cast a look that made him shut up. Xiao Ziong felt that he was going crazy. Lu Muyan, that prodigal lady, just what sort of look was that? Was this how one squandered? Those were pills, not candy. Lu Muyan would naturally ignore Xiao Ziong's lamenting look. As soon as her spiritual energy was exhausted, the pills would immediately follow to replenish it. The golden long whip in her hand didn't stop for a moment, and whip by whip, it stabbed towards the fire ants around her. All everyone saw was a woman in white with an elegant figure, nimbly waving her long whip that shimmered with golden light. Her figure, like a ghost, wandered unbridled through the fire ant colony. Wherever she went, there would definitely be a fire ant with a bloody hole on its head where its demonic crystal had been lost. The thing that drove them completely nuts was that every few moments she would take out a bottle of pills, that even made them be unable to restrain their desire for it, then pour them into her mouth as if she didn't want money. How wild and arrogant her attitude was, and yet she gave people a feeling that this was how she was meant to be. But many people were still bleeding in their hearts. Lu Muyan, could you not be so luxurious? Many people had the urge to go up and snatch the porcelain bottle from her hand to stop her prodigal behavior. This woman wasn't only a complete battle lunatic, but also a complete prodigal lady. This was the deepest impression that Lu Muyan left on the elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans during this battle. One popular Chinese colloquial saying that basically means someone doing something just completely without a care, usually used to describe someone doing something that appears really stupid and unprofitable. Chapter 104, Be Prodigal Together, Refreshing. Lu Muyan's fierceness and madness not only stunned the surrounding sword masters but also completely angered the besieging fire ant colony. Watching this petite human female pierce and kill their companions to the ground one by one, under the shrill command of a few Tier 5 fire ants, all the fire ants that were besieging the others turned around. With little crimson eyes, they also crawled in her direction with madness. Standing on Lu Muyan's shoulder, Mo Yen was always ready to release the pressure of a king-class demonic beast, using his innate talent to suppress them. But he didn't want to expose it in front of all these people unless it was the last resort, otherwise it'd be detrimental to Lu Muyan. What are you all doing looking stunned? Yi Qinghan finally broke through to Lu Muyan's side and stood side by side with her in a protective stance. Looking at the fire ants attacking frantically, he furrowed his brows and ordered the Yi clan pupils, all Yi clan pupils are to immediately kill these fire ants. Offenders shall be dealt with according to the clan disciplines. Obeying the young lord's command, the Yi clan's people who were dumbfounded by Lu Muyan's behavior heard Yi Qinghan's roar and came back to their senses. They took up their magic treasures and leapt towards the periphery of the battle ring to slaughter the fire ants. The fire ants had only one target right now, and that was the female in white who was maneuvering around within the battle ring, so they completely ignored the humans who came up to attack from behind. Following the shrill of the Tier 5 fire ants, the fire ants rushed forward desperately as if they didn't want their lives, just wanting to tear Lu Muyan into pieces. Lu Mu Bai and his party broke through close to Lu Mu Yan's location around the same time as Yi Qing Han arriving beside her. But right now the other fire ants didn't care about them and only wanted to maniacally bite Lu Mu Yan to death. Meanwhile they also freed themselves and surrounded Lu Mu Yan to kill the swarm of fire ants. When the Ling clan saw this, their expressions also changed. Ling Fei Hao and Ling Fei Li directed their clan's pupils to join the battle ring to help. Shi Feng's gaze kept falling on the porcelain bottle in Lu Mu Yan's hand. Seeing that the fire ant colony had gone crazy, he made a hand gesture to the Shi clan's people, tapped his toes and flew into the battle ring. Shi clan's pupils, come in support quickly. Yes, young lord. Not far away, Mu Yi looked at the battle ahead with an indistinct expression. After thinking deeply for a bit, he spit out one word to the pupils of his clan, kill. After saying this, he flashed into the battle ring, then numerous sword auras scattered from him, falling right into the fire ant colony one after the other. The people from the several other clans didn't hesitate either upon seeing three distinguished clans had already acted. Lu Mu Yan also helped them by attracting the fire ant colony, so it was only natural to go help them at this time. Lu Mu Yan exploded with the strength of a sword king with only the cultivation base of a sword spirit, which impressed many elite pupils. Her prodigal behavior of taking pills also made them wring their wrists in pity but also excitement. As a result, many people had their minds focused on befriending her. After all, for being able to take out so many high-level pills that replenish elemental energy, the alchemist behind her definitely wasn't low in grade. Many pupils of the Xan clan and Shui clan were also a little excited when they saw that the others had joined the battle to help, but the two young ladies who were in charge were both silent. They could only you look at me and me look at you, unsure of whether they should or shouldn't help out. Xueling, you're not going to help? Xan Xian folded her arms, and her expression was terribly grim. Seeing Yi Qing Han desperately guarding that bitch beside her, she just wanted to go and tear her up. Xueling sneered, naturally, well, go. Could they not go up in this situation? It wasn't like she was a fool. Having always been admired by countless outstanding men, for the first time she felt that the elegant and extremely beautiful woman within the battle ring was an extreme eyesore. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. At this time, that woman was like an exceedingly brilliant gem, suppressing her, a woman favored by the heavens. Insidiousness flashed past her heart. Go, but don't do your best. Just put on an act and save our combat power first. Xueling's scheming was far deeper than Xaning Xian's. On the surface she wouldn't display any hostility to Lu Mu Yan, so based on the current situation she had to put on an act and join the battle ring. The pupils of the Shui clan also knew that their young miss had a beautiful and kind face but did things very insidiously, a classic snakes and scorpions beauty one. Although they didn't agree with her orders inwardly, but they didn't dare disobey, so they all followed her into the battle ring to help while not using all their energy. Young miss, everyone else all went to help. It's not good to just stand here like this, is it? An elder beside Xaning Xian couldn't help but furrow his brows and say. He knew that Xaning Xian was highly arrogant and loved the young lord of the Yi clan so deeply that she couldn't help herself, but how could she be controlled by her emotions at this time? If the people from the other clans in Yanzhou Kingdom resolved the fire ants and only the Xan clan watched on the sidelines, then Itil inevitably aroused disgust against them. Xaning Xian wasn't an idiot either. She concealed the killing intent in her eyes and nodded to everyone in the Xan clan. Go, just act it out like the Shui clan. Yes. Hearing that Xaning Xian hadn't lost her reason because of Yi Qing Han's situation yet, the rest all felt a sense of relief. From their perspective, Yi Qing Han's actions to protect Lu Mu Yan was only normal. After all, Lu Mu Yan was trapped in the battle ring by the fire ants because she went to save his younger sister. But no one dared say anything in fear of angering their temperamental eldest young Mississippi. The targeted attacks of the fire ant colony saved the other people a lot of trouble. They only needed to kill them one by one from the back, and they rarely encountered any counterattacks. When their elemental energy was almost exhausted, they would take turns to replenish and rest. After all, they weren't as prodigal as Lu Mu Yan, and they didn't have that many pills on them to squander either. This was precisely the disparity between them. Mo Yen, can you detect whether the Sword Monarch powerhouses of the 10 distinguished clans have found the Queen Fire Ant or not? Lu Mu Yen dealt with the fire ant colony that had gone completely insane as she asked Mo Yen telepathically. To continue like this simply wasn't a good idea. The amount of fire ants in the colony was simply enormous. Even if there wasn't a shortage of spiritual energy replenishing pills in her interspatial ring, but if this sort of exhaustive battle didn't end soon, even she wouldn't be able to support herself for long, not to mention those that didn't have that many pills. Mo Yen looked deeply into the distance, released a part of his demonic sense, then replied after a while, "Hold on for another quarter of an hour, the battle over there will be over soon." Lu Muyen pressed her lips together, then took out a few bottles of pills and threw them to Yi Qing Han and the others one by one. "As soon as you exhaust your elemental energy, take it. Don't save it, the battle should be over in another quarter of an hour at most." Yi Qing Han and the several people took the pill bottles. Although they were surprised by how she judged that the battle was about to end, but they had an inexplicable sense of trust towards her. She told them not to save it, so they weren't quarrelsome either. They poured the pills in their hands into their mouths one after the other, copying Lu Muyen. A stream of pure and vast elemental energy instantly replenished their dantian. The sword auras they waved was even stronger and powerful as well. The behaviors of the several people also attracted the attention of the other elite pupils, and they all displayed envious looks towards them. It turns out that behaving like a prodigal is so refreshing, no wonder Lu Muyan's so fond of this path. Yun Jin poured a bottle of spiritual energy replenishing pills into his mouth and felt the elemental energy in his body completely fill in a short amount of time. He couldn't help but sigh with complex feelings. Xiao Ziong looked at the several people who all copied Lu Muyen in squandering as if his flesh hurt. He couldn't resist holding his forehead. Finally he gritted his teeth and poured the entire bottle of pills into his mouth. His eyes lit up immediately as continuous streams of elemental energy replenished his dantian, and he instantly felt that he had the explosive power to fight again. Seeing the envious, jealous and hateful gazes cast on them from many of the surrounding people, he swallowed his saliva, but the excitement in his heart was simply beyond words. As it turns out, this sort of luxurious squandering really was refreshing. There's a description in Chinese that translates to having a heart of a snake and scorpion, which means they're as venomous as snakes and scorpions. A vicious person. Same here. Chapter 105. You look down on our Xang clan? Close to a quarter of an hour later, with Lu Yen as the center, the corpses of the fire ants piled up into small hills. The elemental energy of many people were almost all exhausted, but their surrounding area was still densely packed with crimson ants like tides. Lu Muyen kept maneuvering through the fire ant colony with calm eyes, thinking that it should be around time. Sure enough, a harsh, piercing cry suddenly reverberated in the air, carrying the whine and pressure of an advanced phase Tier 6 demonic beast, which was many times stronger than the Tier 5 demonic beast's cry from before. Screech, screech. The surrounding fire ants heard the high-pitched voice filled with despair and immediately stopped attacking Lu Muyen. Their sharp fangs ground together and created a sound that made one's hair stand on end. The leading Tier 5 fire ant's eyes grew bloodshot and in order to respond, also raised its head and shrieked a few times. Afterwards, the high-level fire ants quickly lowered their heads and burrowed into the red soil one by one while the low-level fire ants also scattered and followed without hesitation. Their queen had let out a desolate scream, and the cry for help grew louder and louder each time. All the fire ants were anxious and wanted to rush to the queen's nest, so they ignored Lu Muyen and the rest completely. The colony of ants came quickly and left quickly as well. In only a few breaths they had all burrowed into the ground and disappeared. Some pupils who had no idea what was happening were still brandishing their swords as they watched their opponents disappear, dumbfounded. What's going on? Why did they all run away? The elders have successfully found the queen fire ant who controls the fire ant colony. They're going back to rescue it. The originally ugly expression of the middle-aged man who was acquainted with Lan Si grew slightly better. They finally withstood it. Hearing his words, many people couldn't help but feel relieved. They slumped to the ground and panted, resting. Although they were all elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans and had encountered many dangers during their trial, but this was the first time they've experienced something like what happened today. Pupils of the 10 distinguished clans, do a quick head count and report to me a list of the deaths. The middle-aged man's eyes swept over the corpses that had been chewed on until only bone was left inside. This time the loss was a bit severe. After his words fell, many people revealed looks of lingering fear in their eyes. When they discovered that there were a lot of missing companions, they felt a sorrow they had never felt before. Those that lost their brothers or sisters even couldn't help but weep silently. At this time, Lu Muyen was also sitting on the ground, pouring a bottle of pills into her mouth, quickly recovering her elemental energy, allowing herself to maintain her peak state at all times. Seeing that the battle was over yet she was still pouring pills into her mouth as if she didn't want money, Xiao Ziong couldn't help but twitch the corner of his lips, saying, "Lu Muyen, the battle's already over, why are you still eating pills? Can you not be so prodigal?" Lu Muyen looked askance at him with a rare trace of fatigue in her voice, naturally to be prepared for a battle at any time. After entering here there definitely would be countless dangers awaiting them. Although that Tier 6 Queen Fire Ant was killed by the Sword Monarch elders of the 10 distinguished clans, but the oppressive aura of a Tier 7 transformation stage demonic beast had still not yet disappeared. No matter when, she couldn't let her guard down. "Those fire ants won't come back again, will they?" Xiao Ziong gasped. If that situation happened again, he really had no energy to fight anymore. Even if he kept replenishing his elemental energy, his physical strength could no longer keep up. He'd definitely die of exhaustion. Lu Muyen furrowed her brows and said speechlessly, "Are there no other demonic beasts besides the fire ants here? Can you not ask such idiotic questions in the future?" Xian Ziong smacked his lips, leaned in beside Lu Muyen and said with a smile, "How many more pills do you still have on you? How about taking out a few more pills and let us replenish our elemental energy too? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Although he was a grade 1 alchemist, but his pill rate was too low. There were at most only 1 or 2 pills in each batch, and he couldn't even guarantee that he wouldn't waste a batch either. The grade 2 elemental energy enhancing pill they took earlier were all bestowed by the clan. He couldn't possibly refine it himself, let alone be as luxurious as Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen had always been generous to the people she acknowledged. She casually took out more than a dozen bottles of spiritual energy replenishing pills and threw them to Xiao Ziong and the others, as well as a few bottles to the Ling clan and Yi clan. Xiao Ziong opened the lid of the bottle and counted them. There were 5 pills altogether. His eyelids twitched uncontrollably. Why was it that the pills that were exceptionally precious in their hands were so worthless in her hands? Comparing oneself to another could definitely infuriate oneself to death. He carefully poured one out and put it in his mouth, then meditated to recover elemental energy, not acting so prodigal like he did during the battle earlier. Such a luxurious act certainly was refreshing, but in retrospect his flesh still hurt badly. The conversation and actions of the two naturally attracted the attention of the others. They couldn't help but hold their forehead at Lu Muyen's behavior of casually tossing out pills. Did this woman actually know the value of pills? Could she not be this prodigal? Even if she wanted to be prodigal, at least give them some too. Standing not far away, Shifeng kept staring at the white porcelain bottle in Lu Muyen's hand. His eyes grew darker, and amidst the voices of jealousy and envy of the other clan's pupils, he walked in front of her and said bluntly without any expression, "Lu Muyen, can you show me the pills in your hand?" When he was fighting earlier, he smelt the pill fragrance and felt that it was extraordinary. Not to mention he hadn't seen this sort of pill that replenished elemental energy so quickly, unless they were grade 3 or grade 4 pills. But when he accidentally saw the quality of the pill, it seemed to appear a lot like a grade 2 pill, so he couldn't stop the desire for exploration in his heart and walked up to ask. Lu Muyen remembered that in addition to the Yi clan and the Ling clan earlier, Shifeng was the first to lead the pupils of his clan forward to help in the battle, and didn't handle it like the Shui clan and the Xang clan, so she nodded with a smile, took out a bottle of pills and handed it over. "I'll gift it to you." Xiao Ziong looked at Lu Muyen speechlessly. This prodigal lady, could she not be this generous? Shifeng also revealed slight surprise on his face, but apart from his enthusiasm for pills, he didn't like to ask until the roots of things regarding anything else. So he nodded, thanked her, took the pill and walked right back to his original place. He opened the lid of the bottle and poured out a rotund and smooth white pill, pinched it between 2 fingers and sniffed it. His brows were tightly knitted, then he put it in his mouth. Immediately, his eyes that usually didn't display much emotion revealed an indescribable shock. Looking at his expression, everyone knew that this pill was extraordinary, and they all cast their gazes to Lu Muyen. "Young lord, eldest lord sure could even obtain a bottle. We also went up to help fight just now, how about you also try?" A young man beside Mui squinted and urged. Mui chuckled, and a meaningful arc rose on his handsome face. "Sure." After saying that, he walked straight to Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen raised her head and looked at Mui, who walked over. She also knew what he wanted to do, so she directly took out a bottle of spiritual energy replenishing pills and handed it to him. "I'll also gift you guys a bottle too." Mui took the white porcelain bottle with a thoughtful look and said with a smile, "Lu Muyen, you're very interesting, thanks." Lu Muyen was too lazy to guess what he meant by interesting. But when she glanced at the surroundings to check for any unusual activities, she discovered that the decision-makers of the various distinguished clans were all waiting to act. She took out 6 more bottles and stuffed it to Xiao Ziyang, saying, "Go give these 6 bottles of pills to the other clans aside from the Shui clan and Xan clan." "Have you gone crazy?" Xiao Ziyang hugged the porcelain bottle like a hen guarding her chicks, his eyes opened wide. Lu Muyen looked askance at his stupid appearance, displeased, and said in an impatient voice, "Don't be so short-sighted. With just this bit of pills and you can't find north, south, east, west anymore? Go quickly." Xiao Xiang feared that she would scheme against him, so he stood up and reluctantly went to deliver the pills. Except, when he just finished the delivery and sat back down in his original position, he heard an angry voice sound. "Lu Muyen, are you looking down on our Xan clan?" Chapter 106. Tear apart all pretenses. As soon as Xan Xian's words fell, everyone's gazes fell on Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen raised her head, her eyes as indifferent as before, and her voice was cold. Young Miss Xan must have mythomania. Starting from Shifeng asking for pills, she had already decided on gifting pills. With how she took out so many spiritual energy replenishing pills earlier to use, she naturally attracted the attention of the people in the 10 distinguished clans. Instead of hiding it and tucking it away, it was better to gift them out generously. Aside from the Shui clan and Xan clan, the pupils in the other clans bore no hostility towards her, not to mention any grudges. On one hand she bought people's hearts and on the other hand, it was a kind of intimidation. Except for people close to her, everyone else all thought that her pills came from that mysterious master. Being able to produce so many grade 2 spiritual energy replenishing pills was also a way to tell everyone that the master no one had seen before pampered her very much. Those who wanted to target her and the Lu clan should weigh their consequences first. She wasn't afraid of provoking anyone, but if she could use a tiger's skin to be her banner one, then she naturally wouldn't be so stupid as to tell everyone that the pills were refined by herself and that there simply wasn't any mysterious master behind her. Xan Xian was choked by Lu Muyen's words, especially when she saw Yi Qinghan cast a cold and displeased look at her. Her entire chest felt ablaze with anger and jealousy, almost made her lose all reason and go up to tear Lu Muyen apart. "If you don't look down on the Xan clan, then why did you gift pills to the 10 distinguished clans, all but the Xan clan and Shui clan?" Xan Xian was able to get along so well in the Xan clan like fish in water not only because of her father. She was wild and arrogant but wasn't completely brainless. After thinking a little, she suppressed the anger in her chest and pulled the Shui clan down the water together. After hearing Xan Xian's words, both the Xan clan and the Shui clan's pupils revealed indignant expressions. By doing this, Lu Muyen was literally slapping the faces of their 2 clans. "That's right. I also want to know why young Miss Lu would treat our 2 clans so discriminatorily?" Shui Ling's beautiful and exquisite face revealed a touch of befuddlement, but she sneered inwardly that Lu Muyen was an idiot. If it were her, even if she disliked someone very much, she still wouldn't do such a thing such as blatantly offending 2 clans. Mu Yi stopped the steps he was taking to leave, then took a step back with great interest, wanting to see how Lu Muyen would deal with it. Lu Muyen's eyes were still indifferent and her tone was faint. "Am I familiar with the Xan clan and Shui clan? Why must I gift you guys pills?" Seeing the indignant gazes of the pupils of the 2 clans, she sneered and said, "Just how much effort your 2 clans put in during the battle earlier is clear to everyone, so why must you openly discuss it and find unhappiness in it for yourselves? Young Miss Lu, you must spoken incorrectly?" Shui Ling brushed away the dust on her sleeves and said coldly, "The group of fire ants besieged you, but we kindly went up to help you. Regardless of how much effort we put in, it's still a show of our goodwill. Who would have thought that it was our fault now and even made you hate us? Young Miss Shui really is a master of inverting black and white. I am ashamed that I am inferior." Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow and looked at Shui Ling, the coldness in her eyes not concealed at all. "Was that group of fire ants besieging me at first? From the very beginning we, from Yanzhou Kingdom, were the first to help and rescue you guys from the siege. It shouldn't even be your turn if we're discussing goodwill, right? Furthermore, the pills are my own. I'll give it to whoever I like. I just simply think that you're not pleasing to the eye, so I don't want to gift it, so where comes the favoring someone and discriminating against another?" The situation of Shui Ling annulling the engagement between her and Ling Fei Yang was known by all. She just simply considered this woman not pleasing to her eyes, and she was even less afraid to speak it out loud and offend this extremely hypocritical woman. Lu Muyen, are you trying to tear apart all pretenses with the Xian and Shui clan? Xian Xian saw how clever Lu Muyen was with her words, and how Shui Ling's skills with her mouth simply wasn't her opponent, so she didn't want to go in circles anymore, directly bringing out the Xian and Shui clan. She just didn't believe that this woman wouldn't have any fear against them. Seeing that Xian Xian took the initiative to take on the conversation again, Shui Lin swallowed what she wanted to say, but the killing intent in her eyes kept circulating. Lu Muyen chuckled, and there weren't any ripples in her eyes as she spoke gently, completely indifferent. You say tear apart all pretenses, then let's tear apart all pretenses. You think you'll be afraid? You're seeking death. Xian Xian didn't expect that Lu Muyen would openly challenge the Xian and Shui clan, and a flush of red appeared on her face, obviously angered. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Meanwhile, Lu Muyen just sat there indifferently and calmly, without a trace of fear or hesitation on her face. Even while facing Xian Xian's use of the two distinguished clans to oppress her, her expression still didn't change. That natural, nonchalant attitude was as if she were simply discussing about the weather today with Xian Xian, and it sure made many people look at her with new eyes and increased respect. But there were also a small number of people that disagreed with her lofty stance. Although Xian Xian provoked first, but Lu Muyen publicly not giving Shui Ling and Xian Xian any face was equivalent to slapping the two clans' faces. Such behavior was a bit too insolent. Seeking death? Young Miss Xen wants to raise your hand at me now? I know I offended you in Glacial City, so just take it directly out on me. Why make a fuss about pills? I'll just accept your challenge. Lu Muyen said with slight dominance and boldness, and her eyes even revealed a look of come get me. She had already offended this narrow-hearted woman when she and Xian Xian were competing for that stone in Glacial City. Not to mention the fact that Yi Qinghan's attitude towards her also made Xian Xian constantly reveal a sliver of killing intent towards her as well. The disagreement between the Xian clan and the Ling clan was already known by all. The Ling clan was her maternal clan, so they were destined to hold grudges with the Xian clan. So why did she have to pretend to be esteemed Buntu and endure it? And towards the Shui clan and Shui Ling, she wasn't bothered with the superficiality of it all even more. The Shui clan and the Ling clan were already like fire and water, and all they were lacking was actually fighting. How could she enhance other people's spirit and diminish her prestige? So if she lowered her head to the Shui clan, it was the same as slapping Ling clan's face. After hearing Lu Muyen's words, many people revealed expressions of understanding. No wonder Xian Xian had always been hostile to Lu Muyen. It turned out that it wasn't only because of Yi Qinghan. If the two had already held grudges against each other, then with Xian Xian's temperament, it would be difficult for her to let Lu Muyen go. Meanwhile, everyone knew why Lu Muyen's attitude towards the Shui clan wasn't good. In fact, if she deliberately bowed her head and catered to the Shui clan, then that would make people feel contempt towards her. Although the act of not giving any face was a little arrogant, but it could be regarded as filling the Ling clan's face. Lu Muyen, are you certain you want to go against me? Xian Xian asked fiercely as the rage within her was reaching the brink, only wanting to vent it out using force. As long as Lu Muyen dared to say yes, she would immediately handicap her. Xian Xian, so what if I go against you? Our Ling clan aren't vegetarians for. Ling Feihao snapped the branch in his hand and looked at Xian Xian as he said coldly. Yi Qinglu also walked to Lu Muyen's side, staring coldly at Xian Xian and Shui Ling, revealing a rare grim expression and said, Elder Sister Muyen was besieged by fire ants to save me. If you have any complaints, you can direct it to me and our Yi clan will accompany you at any time. Since the two women opposite used the Shui clan and Xian clan to pressure Lu Muyen, Yi Qinglu also unconsciously mentioned the Yi clan. Since they're threatening, why not everyone do it together? Who's afraid of who? Yi Qinglu, this is between us and Lu Muyen. What do you mean by sticking a leg into this business? 5? Xian Xian had never only hated Shui Ling, that one woman, but also Yi Qinglu, who had never had a good attitude towards her. Now she added another Lu Muyen. Yi Qinglu put her hands on her little pretty waist, raised an eyebrow and said, Elder Sister Muyen's business will be my business from now on. If you dare bully her one bit, I'll pay you back tenfold. After she finished speaking fiercely while glaring, she turned to Yi Qinghan to seek praise and said, Right, elder brother. Yi Qinghan thought it funny as he clenched his fist, brought it to his mouth and coughed into it. Then he nodded solemnly, Lu Muyen is our Yi clan's benefactor. Whoever touches her is equivalent to opposing our Yi clan. His words were also announcing to everyone that from now on, whoever dared touch Lu Muyen would become an enemy of the Yi clan. One literally means to use a tiger skin as a banner/flag, perhaps during battle. Figuratively means to intimidate someone by using the power of another, often to trick someone. 2 Internet slang meaning to act weak and hopeless. I guess just imagine how soft buns are. 3 A common saying usually used to encourage others not to belittle themselves by putting others on the higher pedestal. 4 Used colloquially to mean that they aren't weak and they should be reckoned with. 5 Like sticking your nose into someone else's business. Chapter 107. The pressure of the Xan clan sword sovereign. The moment Yi Qinghan's words that defended Lu Muyen came out, the faces of many people present changed. The elite pupils of the other 9 distinguished clans all knew Yi Qinghan's position in the Yi clan. The power of his words were basically the same as the head of the Yi clan. Within the 10 distinguished clans, the Alchemist clan Shi clan, the Beastmaster clan Yi clan, and the Smith clan Mu clan had never interfered in the disputes between the rest of the 7 distinguished clans, always keeping to themselves and remaining neutral. Regardless of whether it were their foundations or strength, or the rare professions that the sword masters of the 3 clans possessed, the other 7 clans simply dared not provoke and offend at all. This time, with Yi Qinghan's obvious defensiveness, did it mean that the Ling clan might board the big ship one that is the Yi clan through Lu Muyen this string? Those in charge of the several distinguished clans had to reassess Lu Muyen in their hearts. Qinghan, are you really going to tear apart all pretenses with our Xan clan for this irrelevant woman? Xan Xian revealed a pained expression on her face, and her eyes were mixed with deep affection and resentment. Yi Qinghan's eyes were cold and he spoke lightly, I have never had a deep relationship with the Xan clan, so where comes the tearing apart all pretenses? Muyen is my friend. If the Xan clan is harmful to her, then my Yi clan naturally wouldn't sit idly by. His words were very clear. The Yi clan and Xan clan were just simple acquaintances, and they simply couldn't compare to the relationship between him and Lu Muyen. In fact, everyone present could understand Yi Qinghan's approach. Since earlier the relationship between him and Lu Muyen clearly didn't appear that shallow. Lu Muyen then also saved Yi Qing's life. Anyone would repay such kindness, not to mention there was a mysterious high-level alchemist behind Lu Muyen, so it was normal for him to come forward and defend her. Towards Ling Fei Hao and the Yi clan's siblings' protection of her, Lu Muyen's heart warmed. She stood up. Despite after such a fierce battle, her white clothes weren't stained with a speck of dust nor blood, and her delicate and stunning face carried an arrogance as if looking down upon the world. Her red lips parted lightly, Young Miss Xan, if you want to fight then fight, why do you speak so much nonsense? There was indeed a violent trait within her. Since she was the one that provoked Xianing Xian and Xueling, she didn't need others to clean the grounds for her. Since she was destined to have insoluble grudges against the two, then might as well be openly arrogant. Even if she pierced through the heavens too, she would have her way of getting out. What an arrogant junior. Just when Xianing Xian was irritated by Lu Muyen and wanted to fight, a voice like exploding thunder with an imposing manner sounded. Then, more than a dozen people descended from the sky, and each landed in a different place. A tall, middle-aged man with a dangerous aura appeared in front of Xianing Xian. Dad. When Xianing Xian saw the man, her eyes lit up and she shouted in delightful surprise. Towards the middle-aged man who suddenly appeared, many revealed surprised and respectful gazes. This man was the newly promoted sword sovereign powerhouse of the Xan clan, Xan Bo Jian. You're willful again. Xan Bo Jian appeared doting and seemed to pamper Xianing Xian very much. Xianing Xian was like a completely different person to her previous imperious attitude. She pursed her lips and grumbled in a sweet manner, "How am I willful, in just being bullied by a stinky girl from some random clan?" Her tone was like one of a spoiled child while directly ridiculing Lu Muyen's family background who were like ants in their eyes. Xan Bo Jian cast his gaze on Lu Muyen and swept over her unscrupulously. A dense pressure rolled towards her. When did the Lu clan have such an arrogant girl? My Xan Bo Jian's daughter is not someone who anyone can bully. Seeing the deliberate sword sovereign pressure Xan Bo Jian released at Lu Muyen, Yi Qinghan and the others' complexions changed. They wanted to speak up but was stopped by Lu Muyen with a look. She straightened her back, her eyes like torches, and the mental energy in her sea of consciousness condensed into a dense net to greet that pressure. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. A silver bell-like laughter poured out from her lips, and her voice carried some ridicule. I've only ever heard of the saying when one hits the small one the old one comes three, but who knew that we haven't even started fighting and the old ones come. And the moment a sword sovereign powerhouse arrives, the moment he shows the attitude of a bully towards a sword spirit cultivation-based junior, it truly is eye-opening. Her meaning was obvious. Before I even started fighting with your daughter, you came out and used the strength of a sword sovereign to oppress me, a sword spirit cultivation-based junior, narrow-minded, small-bellied. The face of the sword sovereign powerhouses was all lost because of you. Lu Muyen had her own pride. So what of a sword sovereign powerhouse? She wouldn't bow her head to anyone. What's more, in this situation she expected that it was simply impossible for Bo Jian to really kill her in front of so many people. At most, he would use force to pressure her and teach her a lesson, trying to make her surrender or apologize and use it to indirectly slap the Ling clan's face, as if she'd allow him to do as he wanted. If one submitted and backed away today due to fear because of the gap in cultivation bases, then one would surely bring upon themselves a heart demon in the future. If one wanted to perfect their cultivation base, then it'd be difficult to progress. Gasp. After Lu Muyen's voice fell, many people couldn't help taking in a cold breath. Lu Muyen, this woman was indeed a lunatic who didn't play the cards according to reason. She was a small sword spirit. Even if she did have the strength to fight a sword king, but she dared to openly challenge a sword sovereign powerhouse, she really was bored of living. Other than that, there were also a few people who noticed that although Lu Muyen's forehead overflowed with a layer of fine sweat and her body swayed slightly, but the pressure of the sword sovereign actually passed over her head, as if something was blocking most of that power. Bo Jian's originally smiling face suddenly became very grim, and with a cold snort, a vaster pressure rolled towards her and attacked her with a sliver of elemental energy. Junior, do not dare to be so wild. Lu Muyen's eyes grew slightly colder and her upright back remained unchanged. Her mental energy turned into numerous invisible dense nets, blocking most of the pressure and elemental energy's momentum. Although her spiritual sense was very strong and her mental energy was rarely matched by others, but because of the suppression of the laws of heaven and earth, plus the huge gap in their cultivation base, she just felt hot blood rise from her chest and a trace of blood flowed from her lips. She closed her eyes and the plain white clothes that wrapped around her petite and exquisite body billowed in the wind. She stood still, unyielding, her face still calm as usual, composed as if a blooming snow lotus, proud and independent and stunningly beautiful. Mo Yin, constantly be prepared to use the secret skill. Lu Muyen's voice sounded in Mo Yan's sea of consciousness. A rare trace of scarlet mixed with coldness appeared in his usually indifferent eyes. All right. Bo Jian saw that Lu Muyen actually withstood the pressure that was mixed with some elemental energy of a sword sovereign without a change in expression. Although he didn't use his full strength, but if it were a normal sword spirit, they'd probably have long flown out and bled profusely. Severe injuries were inevitable. The invisible force that blocked his pressure made his heart sink. Just what sort of secret did this Lu Muyen possess? Could it be protection from a spirit treasure? Because Lu Muyen's mental energy barrier was quite special, as long as she deliberately suppressed it, there wouldn't be any large fluctuations. So people, including Bo Jian, all never would have thought that it was the mental energy released from her sea of consciousness that withstood the pressure. One board someone's ship/boat, meaning to become allies with someone. Usually positive and used to express how lucky the person/people are, but there are negative examples. This one is positive. 2. To pierce through the heavens usually means that someone is in big trouble because of what they did or said, etc. Usually used with even if, such as in this situation. 3. Literally describing a situation where after a child of the family get bullies, the seniors in the family come, i.e., parents. Usually used as a phrase of ridicule to call someone weak for needing to rely on their parents. Chapter 108. Kneel and admit your wrongs to my daughter. When Lu Mu stretched out his hand to draw his sword, and when Yi Qing Han and the leading sword monarch powerhouse of the Ling clan was about to step up to speak, Lan Si suddenly walked in front of Lu Muyen. Senior XN Lu Muyen is a student of our Empire Academy and even one of the elites of the younger generation of our Yanzhou kingdom. She is relatively young and impulsive, so if there is any offense, I ask that senior excuses and forgives and not fuss over this with this junior. Then he flicked his sleeves lightly and an invisible wave dissolved the last bit of pressure that enveloped Lu Muyen. His handsome and elegant face still carried with it a gentleness, appearing as if a jade-like gentleman. Except the forcefulness his words carried couldn't be ignored. Lu Muyen shouldn't tolerate having the sword sovereign of the Xan clan teach her a lesson. Although Yanzhou Kingdom wasn't as strong as the overall strength of the 10 distinguished clans, but their foundation wasn't weak at all. The sword sovereign powerhouse of the imperial family wasn't just a little bit stronger than Xian Bojian. As soon as Lan Si appeared, Lu Muyen felt the taste of blood in her chest dissipate. She was a little surprised inwardly. What did this fox want to do? Suddenly, the gentle voice of a male like spring water sounded in her sea of consciousness. "I'll take care of this matter." Lu Muyen was naturally not afraid of Xian Bojian. Although she was only a sword spirit after she established her foundation, but her strength was actually equivalent to a peak phase sword king, and her spiritual energy was even richer and purer. She even had countless methods plus Mo Yan's secret skill, so although yes she couldn't beat Xian Bojian, but it was possible to escape from his grasp. It was just that if they really had to walk until that point she and Mo Yan would have to pay some prices. Now that Lan Si stepped up, she wouldn't be foolish and let emotions affect her decision, so she replied with an, "All right." Then stood behind Lan Si and watched quietly for any changes. "Lan boy, are you threatening me with Yanzhou Kingdom?" Xian Bojian's expression wasn't very good, and his voice was cold. Lan Si was neither humble nor haughty as he smiled handsomely and elegantly like the spring breeze and said, "This junior does not dare, but before we came to the glacial mountain range the emperor and imperial teacher ordered this one to take care of Lu Muyen, not allowing any accidents to occur to her, so this junior could only thicken my face and request senior to give some face." He didn't think that Lu Muyen did anything wrong. From the very beginning it was the young miss from the Xan clan that was aggressive and pressing. To think this sword sovereign powerhouse wasn't embarrassed to involve himself in the situation between the younger generation. Lan Si sure felt like he lost face for him. If Xan Bojian didn't give face, then he could only tear apart all pretenses. Lu Muyen wasn't just the granddaughter of the Ling clan's patriarch but also a trial student of Yanzhou Kingdom. Plus, he also had some selfish motives, so as long as he was here, he'd definitely protect her. I need to give a young boy who had only recently advanced to Sword Monarch some face? No wonder the students of your Empire Academy are so wild. It turned out that they were all like your principal, being taught verbally and by example. Before advancing to a sword sovereign, Xan Bojian had a deep grudge against Yuan Li, and even had a sense of hatred towards the entire Empire Academy of Yanzhou Kingdom because of it. So towards Lan Si, who was also a teacher of the Empire Academy, he also disliked. And Lu Muyen wasn't only a student of Yuan Li's academy, but also a part of the Ling clan, their enemy they want to eradicate. That's why today he would lower himself and use his daughter's words to take advantage of the situation and humiliate Lu Muyen. As such, he could not only slap Yuan Li's face, but also let the Ling clan lose face together. Originally he thought that Lu Muyen, that little junior, would definitely be forced to subdue. Then Hell let her bow and apologize to his daughter in public, humiliating the Ling clan as well, but he didn't expect that this stinky girl was a person who knew no fear and was an exceptionally arrogant tough bone. The fact that Lu Muyen refused to lower her head and even spoke with ridicule not only let him not achieve hitting Yuan Li and Ling clan's face, but actually allowed someone to say that he, a sword sovereign, oppressed the weak. This feeling of being confronted and counterslapped in the face by a junior truly made him angry. He was precisely oppressing the weak, but what can anyone do to him? The most important thing was that there was an intuition deep in his heart that he must not let go of Lu Muyen, this little junior, today, otherwise there'd be endless troubles in the future. Lan Si's handsome and elegant face was also dyed with a bit of anger. If it weren't that his identity couldn't be easily exposed, he definitely would have torn Xian Bojian's body into thousands of pieces. Then what does senior desire? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, in fact we don't need to fight like this either. As long as the girl of the Lu clan kneels down to my daughter and admit her wrongs, then this matter will be over. Otherwise don't blame me for not being courteous. Xian Bojian looked at Lan Si and Lu Muyen with belittling and despise. He really didn't put these two people at heart. An unprecedented storm was brewing in Lan Si's eyes and the slender fingers under his sleeves were prepared to form seals. Lu Muyen sneered and said in an extremely arrogant manner, "Sure enough, both father and daughter all have mythomania. The upper beam is not straight so the lower beam's crooked too. One. Make her kneel? What a huge joke. She, Lu Muyen, hasn't bowed down to anyone in her 2 lives. A puny Xian Bojian was worthy? She knew that whether she yielded or remained firm today, this sword sovereign from the Xan clan would still want to humiliate her regardless. If she really knelt and admitted her wrongs, not only could the Lu clan and Ling clan lose face, but from now on she probably should never even bother thinking about advancing into the ranks of the strongest. Wow! Hearing such arrogant words from Lu Muyen, countless people couldn't help but be shocked and puzzled. Was it that this lunatic didn't want her life? You're courting death. Xan Bo Jian showed unprecedented killing intent in his eyes. His right hand formed hand seals and a column of water tore through the air and turned into a blue Jiao dragon, whizzing towards Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen raised her head and stared at the Jiao dragon formed by water elemental energy condensation. So this was strength displayed by a sword sovereign powerhouse? It was indeed condensed rather like a Jiao dragon, but it only looked like the real thing and wasn't one. Xan Bo Jian's water attribute elemental energy law was still far from being comprehended to perfection. Her gaze locked onto the roaring Jiao dragon that flew towards her as her two hands formed hand seals quickly in the air. Traces of fire elemental energy overflowed from her body, and she instantly became a flaming person. Roar! A fire dragon rushed out from behind her with thunderous momentum, raised its head in the air and roared. There were transparent jade runes that wound around the fire dragon, constantly circling the dragon's body, looking mysterious and unusual. The water Jiao dragon, with the elemental energy pressure of a sword sovereign powerhouse, wiped out everything in its way as lines upon lines of cracks formed, like autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves, directly attacking towards Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen's eyes remained cold, and her face was still light like the wind and clouds as her slender jade-like hands flipped a few times. Her lips spit out a word gently, "Go!" All one saw was the fire dragon whistle into the sky from behind her, as if stepping on clouds and mist. With a spin, it directly greeted the Jiao dragon. The one water one fire elemental energy condensation of the two people stunned everyone. But everyone could all feel that in resemblance to the real thing, Lu Muyen's appeared to be closer. But it was a pity that due to the difference in cultivation base in terms of the pressure and momentum, the fire dragon was still a lot weaker than the water Jiao. Lu Muyen never expected her own fire dragon, made from fire elemental energy condensation, could win that water Jiao. The difference in cultivation base was too big and simply couldn't be remedied. But she added the Azure Dragon token of the 4 symbols array into the condensed fire dragon. This was her real intent. She couldn't hurt Xan Bo Jian, but even if she was severely injured, she must take this blow. This was her Lu Muyen's pride. Boom boom. The blue Jiao dragon and the scarlet fire dragon roared ferociously and bit towards each other's neck. One used to say that the person below behaves unworthily because those above them do precisely that. In this case, used to say that the daughter behaves so unworthily because her father behaves like that. Random side note. Man Junjiu Link drama was a fun watch. Maybe a 9 out of 10 for me, maybe even 10 out of 10. My view is obviously very subjective, and there definitely needs some suspension of disbelief when watching, but it's meant to be a fun angstless watch emo. It actually feels like a drama that might follow the novel's plot quite closely because the situations that occur appear a lot in historical novels that I've read but hardly appear in actual drama, maybe because of that suspension of disbelief. And yet I love it so much. Especially a female lead who's actually intelligent and mentally strong. Man, but why is an intelligent and strong female, doesn't even have to be physically strong, that hard to adapt into drama? So many dramas have been butchered because of that. I never watched those. Now I wonder if Rookie Agent Rogue will be too dark/political/heavy for me? Zanilia Zhao's, aka Zhao Liying's, dramas are usually good, but there were some I didn't watch because the plot wasn't my cup of tea. Let's see how this goes. Chapter 109. Although defeated, but with honor. When the two clashed, the power of the blue and red instantly burst into a dazzling light. The earth trembled and shook a few times as the overflowing power of the two swept across the surrounding area. Everyone quickly mobilized the double-layered defense of an elemental energy shield plus a defense-type magic treasure. Crack. The surrounding trees all collapsed, creating loud cracking noises. Lu Muyen started fixedly at the cluster of light in mid-air. The fire dragon gradually disappeared, and although the blue Jiao's color dimmed quite a bit, it still flew towards her with terrifying force, breaking through the red, foggy light without stopping. Most of the spiritual energy within her body was used for the fire elemental energy condensation. She could only use the remaining bit of spiritual energy to turn into a transparent circle of light to envelop herself. With a snap of her fingers, the jade runes on the fire dragon instantly rotated. A palm-sized jade-colored transparent azure dragon emerged from the disappearing fire dragon and arrived first in front of Lu Muyen at the speed of lightning. Boom boom. Although the jade-colored rune dragon was small, but the power that burst from within wasn't weaker than the previously condensed fire dragon. After a few loud blasts, the blue Jiao dragon and the jade-colored rune dragon both vanished into oblivion in this world. Piu. After all the light curtains dissipated, Lu Muyen spewed out a few mouthfuls of blood and her body was blown back by the blue Jiao dragon's remaining force. Yener. Mu Yen. Lu Muyen. Elder sister Mu Yen. Different voices sounded at the same time in anxiety and worry. Her feet kept sliding backwards and her waist-length black hair flew, unbridled. A few more mouthfuls of blood spurted out, then finally she stopped at around 100 meters away. She held her chest and stabilized her figure with a stream of blood flowing out of her lips. Her face remained unchanged as she raised her head, her eyes looking at Exenbo Jian with endless coldness and said, "Today's blow, I took it. It will be returned 100 times in the future." The current her couldn't be considered fine. Her abdomen was churning with blood and force, obviously having suffered internal injuries. If it weren't that the flesh-refining skill was about to break through to the second layer and her bodice toughness was comparable to that of a Tier 5 demonic beast, she was afraid that a few ribs would be broken today. Ever since arriving at Tianling continent, it was the first time she had been in such a sorry state. But she didn't regret her behavior. What was there to fear? She didn't lose at all in this battle. From the battle with Exenbo Jian earlier, she understood the strength of a sword sovereign and saw through the gap between herself and a sword sovereign powerhouse. Her desire to grow even stronger was burning fervently. Although Lu Muyen was injured at this time, but her imposing manner had not diminished the slightest. Instead, she unconsciously revealed a sense of dominance, of wildness and arrogance within this world, startling everyone. This woman was definitely a lunatic. She was already vomiting blood and was injured, yet she still dared to speak so harshly against Exenbo Jian. But many people also acknowledged Lu Muyen's strength in their hearts. After all, one might well ask who dared to take on a blow from a sword sovereign powerhouse at a sword spirit cultivation base. Although she was severely injured, but she was still like a snow plum, standing proudly in the snow, its delicate fragrance brightening one's eyes. Such courage was worthy of admiration. And her elemental energy condensation, along with the jade-colored rune dragon used later, also made many completely acknowledge her strength. Lu Muyen was not simply a useless vase that only looked good. For a long time now, she was no longer the trash that was once spoken of amongst people. The her today, although didn't have the strength to fight a sword sovereign, but she had an imposing manner no weaker than a sword sovereign powerhouse. The gap in cultivation base opened an insurmountable distance, but many people thought that she hadn't lost. Just from that one confrontation now, although Lu Muyen was defeated, it was with honor. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Exenbo Jian obviously didn't expect that Lu Muyen would take on his water jiao made from elemental energy condensation. He didn't use all his strength just now, but he also used at least 6 or 7 tenths. What shocked him the most wasn't the fire dragon condensed from elemental energy, but the jade-colored rune dragon that emerged from the fire dragon. That rune dragon actually gave him a faint sense of danger. If Lu Muyen's cultivation base was comparable to his, or was it middle phase sword monarch cultivation base in a battle like just now, he was afraid that he would inevitably be injured. This woman must not remain alive. This was the firm thought that rose in Exenbo Jian's mind. Presumptuous, go die. Exenbo Jian also disregarded the dignity of the strong. Provoked by Lu Muyen's words, a huge dark blue sword appeared in his hand. He channeled 8 or 9 tenths of elemental energy into it, then he swung hard. An even more violent and raging sword aura erupted, which was even stronger than the Jiao dragon made from water elemental energy condensation. The violent gust of wind, combined with a sword aura, headed directly towards Lu Muyen's forehead. Mo Yen. Lu Muyen rubbed the blood on her lips and looked at Exenbo Jian raising his sword with coldness and indifference in her eyes. Mo Yen's eyes grew cold, and the pressure of a king-class demonic beast gradually spread out. When he was just about to use his innate talent to fight together with Lu Muyen, suddenly a sword aura that was not weaker than Exenbo Jian's came from the side. Hoo! 2 sword auras clashed instantly, but unexpectedly, it didn't explode with any energy fluctuation. The sword aura that came from the side seemed to carry a power that contained the heaven and earth, instantly merging with Exenbo Jian's sword aura, and then squeezed out from a small crack in space. Neither of the two sword auras affected the people present. Then the space rift that had been forcibly torn open quickly closed and a voice came from Yi Qinghan's direction. "Xan Bo Jian, that is enough. Don't lose the face of a sword sovereign powerhouse." At this moment, a handsome and beautiful silver-haired man suddenly appeared beside Yi Qinghan with a very gentle and soft smile on his face, as if he could pardon everything. Seeing that the crisis was temporarily resolved, Mo Yen immediately dissipated the king-class pressure that was about to take form, taking the chance when people weren't paying attention. The demonic energy that was churning inside his body returned to calmness. The hand seal that Lan Si was forming within his sleeves also instantly came to a stop. He calmed down and retracted the power in his dantian that was about to open a layer of his seal. "Yi Zhan." Xan Bo Jian looked at the person that arrived and his pupils constricted. Hearing Xan Bo Jian's voice, the eyes of all the people present turned to the silver-haired man in black clothes who just appeared. Yi Zhan, the youngest sword sovereign in the Yi clan and even among the 10 distinguished clans. At only 26, he had stepped into the ranks of a sword sovereign powerhouse and became the peerless genius of the 10 distinguished clans that was hard to find even in 100 years. His talent and strength, compared to the strongest talented elites of the other 3 regions on this continent, was only superior and not inferior. He was also the idol in the hearts of countless elite pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. "Yi Zhan, are you going to intervene now?" Xan Bo Jian's expression was fearfully grim. He didn't expect that Yi Qinghan and Yi Qinglu was actually able to invite Yi Zhan to help Lu Muyen. This man who was always wearing a tolerant and soft smile made Xan Bo Jian dislike him extremely. Although Yi Zhan, who had just passed 30, hadn't yet broken through Sword Sovereign to the next step, but even he couldn't see through the strength of this person. What made him most afraid was that Yi Zhan also had a Tier 7 spirit pet at the transformation stage. If he went against Yi Zhan today, he definitely wouldn't be his opponent. "The Lu clan's little girl saved my clan's Qinglu before, so you tell me whether I should make a move or not?" Yi Zhan wore a smile on his face and his voice was as clear as spring water, but it made people feel a chill for no reason. "Little paternal uncle, why are you so slow?" Yi Qinglu was pleased to see Yi Zhan's face and complained with a tone as if acting spoilt. "Elder brother sent out a distress signal for ages already and you just arrived." "Humph. Otherwise elder sister Mu Yen wouldn't be hurt by that old thing." "You girl, I came as soon as I received the signal." There was a hint of helplessness in Yi Zhan's eyes as he looked at the Yi clan siblings softly and lovingly. Chapter 110. Saved from the predicament. The appearance of Yi Zhan also made Lu Mu Bai and the others, as well as the sword monarchs of the Ling clan, feel relieved. "Yi Zhan, are you really going to meddle in other people's business today?" Xan Bo Jian's eyes were full of dark haziness. He originally wanted to kill Lu Muyen here today, so even if he returned from the glacial mountain range, it would be too late for the Ling clan and Lu clan to even complain. Except he completely didn't expect that Lu Muyen would save Yi Qinglu earlier, and there was also an unclear relationship between her and Yi Qinghan. Now that Yi Zhan appeared, it seemed that he wouldn't be able to kill her anymore. Yi Zhan nodded lightly, naturally. As a sword sovereign expert, why fuss with a little girl at sword spirit strength? This time, how about for the face of our Yi clan you let it be? It wasn't that it was impossible for Yi Zhan to insist and exert pressure on Xan Bo Jian to resolve this if he wanted to, but the birth of the heavenly frost golden crystal was imminent, and time didn't allow them to cause trouble again. Now he gave Xan Bo Jian a step to back down, but if this person still insisted on acting against Lu Muyen, then he could only use force to resolve it. The look in Xan Bo Jian's eyes were cloudy and uncertain, very cryptic. Then finally, he swept his gaze over Lu Muyen coldly and said, "All right. This time, I'll spare her life for the sake of the Yi clan's face. If there's another instance of this, I will definitely not hold back. As such, I thank Fourth Master Xan." Yi Zhan's tone was light, and he automatically ignored Xan Bo Jian's threatening words. With his temperament, if it were under normal circumstances, he wouldn't even talk nonsense with Xan Bo Jian. Xan Bo Jian was the most hopeless sword sovereign among the 10 distinguished clans. In the future, his cultivation base would probably stop at sword sovereign. But he felt that on Lu Muyen, there was a flourishing aura like the rising sun from the east in its early bloom, full of preserved energy ready for the future. After watching the battle just now, he came to a conclusion. How is this woman a fish in a pond? Upon greeting a storm, a dragon she will become one. Lu Muyen lowered her eyes and concealed all the killing intent in them. The Xang clan was truly pushing people too hard. She would definitely make the Xang clan pay a heavy price in the future. Dad! Xang Xian couldn't help but yell out. Today was the perfect opportunity to get rid of Lu Muyan. Xan Bo Jian also had anger that was unable to be dispersed. But the current situation didn't allow him to directly confront Yi Zhan. Putting aside Yi Zhan's own extraordinary abilities, it wouldn't be worth offending the Yi clan just to kill a junior. Shut up. Let's go. Xan Bo Jian glanced at Xan Xian coldly, preventing her from continuing to speak. Then he waved his hand and turned around, leaving the woods with the Xan clan. He'll definitely have you die next time. Xan Xian stomped her foot. Before she left, she had turned around and looked at Lu Muyan viciously, then left unwillingly after leaving the harsh words. Lu Muyan sneered inwardly, the next meeting, he'll definitely have you die too. She took out a bottle of pills for healing from her interspatial ring and poured it into her mouth. A coolness instantly spread all over her body, suppressing that painful heat in her chest quite a bit, and the churning state of her abdomen also stopped. She raised her head and looked at Yi Zhan, saying, "Thank you greatly, Senior, for helping me." She had her ways to escape without Yi Zhan, but she naturally owed a personal favor to this person since he acted. A faint smile rose on Yi Zhan's lips, and his voice was as sweet and cold as spring water. No need. Towards this woman with extraordinary combat power, he still somewhat appreciated, and he knew that she must still have some trump cards unused, otherwise it was impossible for her to face that sword aura that was enough to kill her without any change in expression, remaining calm and composed. You all recover for a day and then hurry along. The heavenly frost golden crystal would be born in 2 days. Well, take our leave first. Yi Zhan turned to look at Yi Qinghan and said, "All right." Yi Qinghan nodded, revealing slight fondness on his face. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Immediately Yi Zhan walked towards the end of the forest. His black robe paired with the head of silver made his tall figure appear otherworldly, and the moment one didn't pay attention, his figure was completely hidden in this world. "Yenner, are you all right?" Lu Mu Bai stepped forward and looked at Lu Mu Yen with worry. When Xan Bo Jian acted, he simply had no time to rescue her and could only look on helplessly as the sword aura cut towards his sister's forehead. The pain and forlorn desolation in his heart made Lu Mu Bai realize that he was still too insignificant. He squeezed his fists. He had never had a greater desire to grow stronger. Only when he grew stronger and stronger, until he placed himself above this entire continent, could he protect his family. Lu Mu Yen raised her head and smiled at Lu Mu Bai charmingly. "Elder brother, don't worry, I'm fine." Yun Lan and the others also came over, each with incomprehensible emotions in their eyes. The battle between Lu Mu Yen and the Sword Sovereign shocked them and also aroused their desire for strength. Yi Qing Lu walked beside Lu Mu Yen and held her wrist affectionately, her eyes filled with admiration. "Elder sister Mu Yen, you're so amazing. In the future my little paternal uncle will no longer be my person of worship. You're the goal I want to chase after." Looking at Yi Qing's less adorable, innocent smile, Lu Mu Yan's heart warmed. She stretched out her hand and tapped the tip of her nose, smiling as she said, "Sure." She felt very fated with Yi Qing Lu and treated her like a younger sister in her heart. "Qing Lu, stop pestering Mu Yen, let her recover as soon as possible." Yi Qinghan's handsome face also revealed a slight smile. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were filled with streams of light. "Qinghan, my deepest gratitude." Qinghan's repeated defense for her tonight made her moved. "Why is there a need for verbal gratitude between us?" Yi Qinghan shook his head with a smile. In his heart, he didn't want Lu Mu Yen to settle everything too clearly with himself. That gorgeous figure had already inhabited his heart. "Then I won't be polite from now on." Lu Mu Yan's eyes were dyed with some cheeriness. In front of a friend that she acknowledged, she indeed didn't need to be polite in the future. Today's fight must made everyone tired. You all quickly restore your elemental energy and physical strength. There's still a tough battle to be fought later. Lu Mu Yen saw the concerned and caring gazes surrounding her and suddenly felt a belonging towards this world. Other people's elemental energy and physical strength were indeed heavily depleted, so they each found a vacant seat near her and sat down to recover. Lu Mu Yen walked beside a large tree and sat down, poured out a few pills again and took it. As soon as she raised her head, she met Lan Sis' gaze not far away. "Teacher Lan, the favor of you protecting me today will be repaid in the future." Lu Mu Yen moved her mouth silently. Lan Sis' gentle and elegant face was full of interest. This woman could surprise him every time. He opened his mouth and mouthed a few words, "I await your repayment." With amusement, Lu Muyen looked at Fox Lan, who used his gentleness, handsomeness and elegance to hide his true nature. This man definitely wasn't as simple as he appeared on the surface. Before Yi Zhan acted, she felt a fluctuation of an array seal from Lan Si. She was certain that this man had hidden his strength. "All right," Lu Muyen said softly, then closed her eyes and began to recuperate. She must adjust her physical condition to its peak state within a day. She's going to take that heavenly frost golden crystal for sure. There was a strong sense of crisis in her heart. She felt that various accidents would occur in the coming battle for the heavenly frost golden crystal. The Xan clan's father and daughter might even secretly act against her. She reached out and rubbed the faintly gleaming ice bangle on her wrist. There was actually a little more connection between her and it because of that battle just now. Ming Xiu were about to meet again soon. One quite self-explanatory, but the fish in a pond is an idiom. She's no mediocre person and instead will achieve greatness. Chapter 111. Erase marks. A day later, Lu Muyen opened her eyes. The injuries within her body had been healed by the energy-nourishing pill, and her elemental energy and physical strength had also been restored to the peak. The people in the 10 distinguished clans, except the Xan clan, got up one after the other, looking towards the end of the forest, preparing to leave under the command of the middle-aged man. "You all also get ready. We'll set off in a quarter of an hour with the 9 distinguished clans." Lan Si leapt off a big tree, casually arranged his clothes, said to the students of Yanzhou Kingdom, "Teacher, are we going to cooperate with the people from the 9 distinguished clans?" After experiencing some incidents in the glacial mountain range, Jihansu no longer had the silly smiles he had before entering the glacial mountain range and talked a lot less as well. Lan Si chuckled lightly, "No. After arriving at the birthplace of the heavenly frost golden crystal, every ally is an enemy. We're just traveling together for now." Jihansu nodded and didn't say any more. Although deep down in his heart he longed to obtain the heavenly frost golden crystal, but he was aware that he didn't have the ability to obtain it. The 9 distinguished clans and the pupils of Yanzhou Kingdom listen. The middle-aged man, the leader of the 10 distinguished clans, clapped his hands and gathered everyone, then said, "We will travel together now. After we find the heavenly frost golden crystal you will all separate. This includes all the alliances made within the 10 distinguished clans, end it when we arrive and we each listen to fate." Previously, the 10 distinguished clans unanimously agreed to make an alliance because they wanted to seal the news. After arriving at the place the heavenly frost golden crystal was to be born, who would still obey that alliance? Naturally it was who snatched it. Would it belong to who? "Yes." Everyone replied in unison. "Go." The middle-aged man waved his hand and all the elite pupils quickly headed towards the depths of the forest. Lu Muyen scanned the people in the 9 distinguished clans and she found that all the Sword Monarch powerhouses that appeared before were not in this team at this time. They probably all went ahead long ago to prepare for battle. This time, the main reason the 10 distinguished clans sent elite pupils to contend for the heavenly frost golden crystal was probably to help them gain experience. Judging from the appearance of the 2 sword sovereigns, the other sword sovereigns from the other clans must also reach the glacial mountain range already, and there must be even more Sword Monarch powerhouses. Lu Muyen curled her lips. She wondered whether the imperial teacher succeeded in inviting the 2 sword sovereign powerhouses of Yanzhou Kingdom. She had absolutely no fear at the arrival of so many powerhouses, and instead, felt that it should only be natural. The stronger they were, the more interesting it was to compete for it, wasn't it? Although she didn't like using sinister crafty plots and means, but she did like to take advantage of chaos. The group of people rushed non-stop, and it was also inconvenient for Yi Qinghan and Yi Qinglu to leave the Yi clan's team, so they would only communicate with their gazes with Lu Muyen. Ling Feihao also stuffed an emerald jade into Lu Muyen's hand, telling her that when she was in danger she should crush the emerald jade and the strongest sword monarch of the Ling clan would sense it. All the way it was abnormally quiet. There weren't any movements from any demonic beasts. Everyone was constantly wary and alert while Li Xiang would cast complicated gazes towards Lu Muyen from time to time. Jihansu, who was not far beside her, noticed Li Xiang's strangeness and remembering the bit of news he had accidentally received, he fell silent for a bit, then finally gritted his teeth and slowed down slightly. When he approached Lu Muyen he called after her. "Lu Muyen." Lu Muyen glanced at Jihansu, who usually didn't have much interaction with her, and it could even be said that they had conflicts with each other because of what happened before with Yungo. She couldn't guess what his purpose of calling out to her was. What is it? Be careful of Lu Xiang. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. When the two passed by each other, Jihan Su whispered exceptionally softly into Lu Muyan's ear as if he didn't say anything, then he said no more and pulled their distance apart again. He kept up in speed and continued to follow the team, but didn't look at her anymore nor spoke. Lu Muyan was a little surprised about why Jihan Su would caution her. She only thought that perhaps Lu Xiang was suspicious but didn't take it to heart. Now because of Jihan Su's caution she was a little more concerned. In the immortal cultivation world where the weak became meat for the strong, she broke through to the body fusion stage, and could even almost advance to the great ascension stage. Throughout she had always known one true principle. Never underestimate anyone who appeared to be inferior to your cultivation base or strength. The details decided one's success or failure. Sometimes what ruined things were precisely those inconspicuous people or events. She spread her spiritual sense and also discovered that Lu Xiang cast frequent strange gazes towards her, and even left black stones on the ground or black scratches on large trees every now and then. Lu Muyan's eyes darkened slightly. This Lu Xiang wasn't very strong, but there was always a sense of disharmony about her. Lu Xiang's actions of tossing stones and scratching trees were obviously leaving marks for people, and it seemed that someone was preparing to be the oriole behind the mantis that stalked the cicada one. Mo Yin, do you think there's a problem with the woman who was fighting with me before? Lu Muyan asked Mo Yin using mental energy as she rushed. Mo Yan's deep and serene black eyes rolled in thought. He didn't turn his head and replied with certainty, naturally there's a problem. There's a power sealed in her body, the same as the power that could instantly raise one's strength used by the woman that you last faced off with during the Academy's grand competition. A hint of confusion crossed Lu Muyan's eyes and then a small, calculative curve rose on her lips. Mo Yan, what do you want to do again? The flame-like fur on Mo Yan's head moved. As long as this woman displayed such an expression, it was definitely to calculate against someone, and she'd definitely want him to act. You can erase all the secret signals she left on the way, right? Lu Muyan obscurely looked at the stones Lu Xiang dropped again. Mo Yan closed his eyes. He, a dignified king of a portion of the demonic realm, to think would meet with misfortune and fall to this sort of unfavorable situation where he was ordered by a woman to do these boring things? You think if you erase their secret signals, those people won't be able to find where the heavenly frost golden crystal is? Those people can naturally find it, but they wouldn't have time to prepare an ambush. When they arrive, it'd be perfect for them to mess up the situation, and then we can take advantage of the chaos. Lu Muyan's lustrous and bright eyes that were like glass carried a smile. Mo Yan twitched the corners of his mouth. This woman was indeed not some righteous person, but it was just to his appetite. As long as she wasn't some insidious, conniving, and heartless person, then such a temperament was more suitable for the path of the strong. From forming a contract with Lu Muyan until now, he discovered that Lu Muyan wasn't a good person, but her personality wasn't bad. She didn't abhor evil as if her deadly foe, but definitely would never let go of people who calculated against her. She treated people with some distance and was sometimes very cunning and good at calculations, but she would treat all those that she acknowledged with sincerity and generosity. All in all, Lu Muyan's temperament changed greatly, but she was able to let those that interacted with her recognize her from their hearts. There was simply an invisible magical power that she carried, making people want to be closer to her and give their trust. After sighing, Mo Yan realized that the more he interacted with this black-bellied little woman, the less he was like that cold-hearted and indifferent person he was before, but he unexpectedly didn't dislike such changes. He closed his eyes and a trace of demonic sense that no one noticed came out of his body, rolled up all the black stones from behind and piled them under a tree that Lu Xiang had left traces on. Aside from that tree, the black marks on all the trees in front were all erased by a powerful demonic consciousness that had been strengthened and solidified. Along the way nothing occurred, and half a day later, when everyone arrived at the end of the forest, the earth trembled and mountains shook suddenly. Not far away the sky was filled with 5-colored clouds that gathered. Numerous birds flew across the sky and a beam of dazzling golden light shot straight up towards the horizon. The heavenly frost golden crystals about to be born, hurry! The leading middle-aged man shouted, then immediately turned into a stream of light, disappearing at the end of the forest. One the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind classic idiom many might have heard. To be careless, coveting the gains before it but neglecting the larger danger behind. Whoever Luxiang words for wants to be that Oriole. Chapter 112. Anomalous phenomenon. One after the other, the golden light that shot directly into the sky not far away slowly dispersed, carrying a gentle energy, echoing with the 5-colored auspicious clouds in the sky. Suddenly, a colorful rainbow hung in the air, magnificent and beautiful. Quick, go! The leaders of the distinguished clans commanded their clan members to dash in the direction of the anomalous phenomenon. Lan Si looked in the direction with a deep gaze, then turned to the several people and said, "Let them go first. We'll go at our current speed." A few people revealed confusion in their eyes, but when they saw Lan Si's solemn gaze, they stopped themselves from asking their questions aloud. Despite the infinite desire in their hearts, they still didn't dare to disobey. Yes. Lu Muyen glanced at Lan Si meaningfully. This fox sure was clever. Chaotic fighting was probably already happening ahead of them. As Lu Muyen expected, their speed was neither too fast nor too slow, but the distance between them and the team of the 9 distinguished clans in front of them was lengthening. After about an hour's journey, they indeed heard loud and sonorous roars one after the other, louder and louder each time. Roar? This sort of sound fluctuated high and low with different levels of pressure, but it could be heard that there were definitely countless of them and even a wide variety. There are actually so many demonic beast roars. Xiao Ziong couldn't help but reveal surprise and speechlessness in his eyes. Since the last battle with the fire ant colony, he now particularly hated the tactic of taking turns in fighting an opponent. Now that there were so many demonic beasts, did it mean that they would have to join that sort of endless battle again? Lu Muyen stood beside him and chuckled as she said jokingly, "You should thank Teacher Lan's wise move, otherwise I'm afraid we'll already be fighting chaotically with the demonic beasts right now." Right now, I'm afraid it's not just humans fighting demonic beasts, but the group of demonic beasts are also fighting chaotically with each other. Yun Zimo's cold eyes were as deep as a well. Then teacher, does it mean we don't need to go there anymore? Xiao Ziong looked at Lan Si and asked tentatively. In reality, his longing and obsession for the heavenly frost golden crystal wasn't that deep. Of course, if a peerless spiritual herb was being born in front of him, then he'd definitely rush in that direction, disregarding everything. Lan Si raised an eyebrow, and one couldn't hear any emotions in his tone. What do you think? Haha, I think we can wait until they're almost killed before going in. Isn't there a saying that goes when the snipe and clam grapple, it's the fisherman who benefits one? Xiao Xiang really hated chaotic battles. Yun Jin stretched out his hand next to him and slapped him on the head. Then he suddenly remembered the word Lu Muyen used to scold Xiao Ziong and couldn't help saying, "Idiot. Yun Jin, your skin's tight right now, right too? You're slapping me on the head again?" Xiao Ziong turned his head and glared at Yun Jin. The originally tense atmosphere at this moment was made a lot more relaxing because of Xiao Ziong's idiotic question. "Enough now, what sort of time is it and you're still making trouble?" Hu Fei, who had been silent the entire way, furrowed his brows and scolded the two of them. Yun Jin looked askance at Hu Fei then directly ignored him, while Xiao Ziong snorted coldly, "What's the matter with it?" Hu Fei glared at Xiao Ziong with anger. Ignorant junior. He was exceptionally upset and distracted right now. He didn't deny that he was tempted for the heavenly frost golden crystal, but he knew how much he weighed in all of this. It was simply impossible to compete with those sword sovereigns and sword monarchs, not to mention he still had a mission to accomplish. He glanced at Luxiang surreptitiously. Why hadn't Lord Secret Envoy arrived yet? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Xiao Ziong had always disliked Hu Fei, but just when he wanted to scold back, he was stopped by a look from Yun Lan. This wasn't the time for quarreling. Meanwhile, in the woods they fought in before, more than a dozen people with black cloaks were rushing forward, yet they found more than 20 black stones used for secret signals beneath a large tree ahead of them. One of them squatted down and picked up a stone for a look, then said to the leading man, "Lord Secret Envoy, this is our contact signal." The leading man's voice was hoarse with a bit of viciousness. It seems that Luxiang was discovered by someone. "Then what do we do?" one of them asked anxiously. The leader pointed to one person at random and said, "You go in to investigate if there's anything happening." Yes. The person who was addressed didn't hesitate and leapt into the Scarlet Woods. After a while, the man returned from within the forest and stood respectfully in front of the leading man, then said, "Lord Secret Envoy, there are 3 paths ahead of us. Without a contact signal, this subordinate cannot tell which road they have used." The leading man was silent for a moment, his expression extremely grim, then after a while he spoke. Earlier the forest's land shook and mountains trembled, there must have been an anomalous phenomenon, but this forest itself has the effect of blocking out any anomalous phenomenon. We can only see it if we arrive at the end of the forest. Well, divide ourselves among the 3 paths, and when we reach the destination, well, first kill Lu Mu Yen and Lu Mu Bai, then attempt to compete for the heavenly frost golden crystal. The main task they received this time was to kill Lu Mu Yen. The heavenly frost golden crystal was only supplementary, so even if they desired it very much, they must place their task in first place. Yes, Lord Secret Envoy. So more than 10 people divided themselves into 3 groups. The leader wandered back and forth in front of the 3 paths for a moment before leaping into the leftmost path, and the path he chose happened to be the one taken by Lu Mu Yen and the others. Lu Mu Yen and her group, who were currently at the end of the forest, didn't stop just because of the roars of the beasts coming from ahead, and soon left the forest. But the forest was on a high cliff. As soon as one stepped out of the forest, one saw a snow-capped mountain ahead. Beginning from the middle section, it was a tall mountain composed of red rocks. Beneath was the lowest point of an open valley, the road to the tall mountain. But now there were many demonic beasts crawling forward incessantly, while also biting at each other with crimson eyes. Meanwhile, the people from the 10 distinguished clans passed through the beasts, killing them off successfully, and didn't meet with a lot of obstacles as they moved forward quickly. It's as if these demonic beasts have gone crazy. They bite and slaughter their own kind, but when they encounter people from the 10 distinguished clans, they're not very aggressive. It's too abnormal. Yun Lan stood on the cliff and observed the battle at the bottom of the valley, with confusion in his eyes. Lan Si also cast his gaze downwards, but he didn't answer immediately. Instead he asked Lu Mu Yen with a smile, "Lu Mu Yen, what do you think?" After hearing Lan Si's question, several people all unanimously looked at Lu Mu Yen. Everyone saw her previous performance and took it all in, so now they inexplicably thought she might know. Lu Mu Yen twitched the corner of her lips and rolled her eyes at Lan Si. It wasn't like this fox didn't know, but seeing that even her elder brother cast a look of curiosity at her, she slowly said, "Don't you all hear any noise?" The several people listened quietly, and Xiao Ziong furrowed his brows, saying, "The sound of beast roars and fighting." Lu Mu Yen glanced at him speechlessly. "Listen carefully. There seems to be a very faint flute sound, faintly discernible as if a part of the wind." Yun Ziamo suddenly looked towards Lu Mu Yen and said. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him appreciatively and replied, "That's right. The reason these demonic beasts are killing each other is in the sound of the flute. One basically means that a third party will benefit from the fighting between Party 1 and Party 2, taking advantage of them. 2 comes from a colloquial saying where if one's skin is tight, just slap them a few times to loosen it. Here Xiao Ziong's asking whether Yunji needs a few slappings. Note, oops, accidentally published it early again. No second chapter, this is it, haha. 1.5 more weeks to go until the school holidays here, woo. Chapter 113. Tage. Hearing the conversation between Lu Mu Yen and Yun Ziamo, the others also listened carefully, and they realized that there was indeed a very ethereal flute sound coming from a distance. This must be the Yi clan's beast-taming skill. Lu Mu Bei's eyes were profound, with a look of understanding. A gentle smile appeared on Lan Si's handsome and elegant face as he folded his arms. Yi Zhan is indeed amazing. Such scale and skill, only he could exert it. Truly worthy as the Eastern region's peerless genius. Lu Mu Yen didn't express her opinion. She had seen a similar beast-taming skill back at the Beast Tamers sect. This was different to the beast-taming incantation she obtained, but it had the same effect. However, the level of this skill was many times worse than the one she knew of. If her strength reached Sword Sovereign or she successfully formed her core, she would also be able to achieve this sort of skill level in controlling beasts. Unconsciously, her hand touched the ice bangle again. Strength, power, a strong determination burst out from the bottom on her heart. So this turned out to be the control of Senior Yi Zhan's flute sound. How amazing! Xiao Ziong couldn't help revealing a sliver of admiration. That man was simply the legend of the Eastern region within the last 100 years. Hearing Xiao Ziong's way of address towards Yi Zhan, Lu Mu Yen suddenly realized that, aside from when Lan Si added a senior when speaking to Xan Bo Jian afterwards, regardless of who, he addressed Sword Sovereign powerhouses with their names, addressing them as equals to him. She even faintly felt that Lan Si's gentle tone carried a sense of indifference. Aside from his special appreciation for Yi Zhan, He didn't show any respect that a junior should possess towards sword sovereign powerhouses at all. It might not be easy for other people to discover it, but she also held such a state of heart as she, who used to be the female immortal of the spiritual world, bore absolutely no fear of sword sovereign powerhouses. In her eyes, what they represented was simply a higher cultivation base than her right now. Aside from that, at most it was appreciation of individuals such as the same appreciation of Yizhan. The strength of a sword sovereign was only equivalent to the cultivation base of a core formation stage in the immortal cultivation world, what she used to consider to be an ant-like presence. But she dared to conclude that she and Lan Si were definitely not the same kind of people. He had a deep secret behind him. His cultivation base should have been hidden, and it was probable that even his usual gentle and refined temperament was just an appearance. But who had no secrets? Lan Si wasn't hostile to her, that was enough. She had no intention of exploring other people's secrets. Seeing Xan Bo Jian lead the pupils from the Xan clan to emerge from another side to join the other 9 distinguished clans, rushing forward and about to reach the foot of the tall mountain, Lan Si said leisurely, "Let's go too." Yes. The others also leapt off the cliff with him and rushed towards the foot of the mountain. Along the way, demonic beasts fought each other while from time to time, when they saw them in their crazed state, they would also attack. But they were all easily killed by Lu Mu Bai and Yun Zmo, the 2 leading people. Lu Mu Yen looked at the rainbow hanging over the tall mountain. A faint heart palpitation spontaneously emerged within her. She furrowed her brows. It seemed that there was extreme danger and little fortune this time. However, she wasn't afraid. Without the courageous heart to go forward, how could she hack through brambles and thorns and charge onto the path of the strong? Mo Yen, did the Tier 7 demonic beast hide itself? Lu Mu Yen discovered that since the attack from the fire ants, that sense of oppression that enveloped them in the scarlet forest gradually withdrew. With his eyes closed, Mo Yen laid on Lu Mu Yan's shoulder, and without even raising his eyelids, it must be the appearance of the human sword sovereigns that made him fear, so he hid himself. That Queen Mother Ant was also driven by him to besiege you all. But that person named Yizhan must found him. Why do you say so? Lu Mu Yen asked with interest. Intuition. After Mo Yen said that, he remained silent and rested his mind. A trace of spiritual force quickly entered his body from the outside, and the demonic energy that wound around his dantian was even denser than before. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. After separating from Ming Xiu, Lu Mu Yen refined a few cauldrons of pills for Mo Yen. The blood essence and cultivation base he lost was quickly remedied by the pill, and his demonic energy also accumulated not far off from advancing. If it weren't for the wrong time and place, he had already planned to find a hidden place to condense his Yaofu. Lu Mu Yen glanced at Mo Yen. Intuition? Well, she also had the intuition that the transformation stage demonic beast was definitely not easy to deal with. Because the sound of that very faint flute was still reverberating in the air, they reached the foot of the mountain with basically no hindrance along the way. At this time, the pupils of the 10 distinguished clans had already entered a boundless, enormous cave at the foot of the mountain. Lan Si looked at the entrance cautiously and had everyone restore their elemental energy and physical strength to its peak, then enter. A quarter of an hour later, he waved his hand and led everyone into the cave. The inside of the cave was very bright. There was only one narrow path leading to the depths, and on the 2 sides of the narrow path was surging and tumbling lava. If one accidentally fell into it, those Sword King strength and below would definitely go meet Yama-one. After walking another quarter of an hour, they crossed the narrow path. Then a hillside made of volcanic rock appeared before them. What entered their eyes after crossing the hillside was astonishing. The elite pupils and powerhouses stood on Lu Mu Yen and their party's side, while in front of them was a lava lake that constantly bubbled, fiercely hot. In the center of the lava lake laid a long, thin, golden liquid which was slowly solidifying. The most important thing was that on the opposite side of the 10 distinguished clans, which was also the other side of the lava lake, there stood 2 men who dressed uniquely. One of them, although handsome and carried an effeminate feel, had a cyan-sharp horn that emerged from his head, while the other was 8 feet tall, burly, and there were a few fingernail-sized scales on the side of his face. Behind the 2 of them were more than a dozen Tier 6 demonic beasts, and only from 2 species. There were records of them on the continent's demonic beast record. They were the sky-swallowing python and the spirit rhinoceros beast. Seeing the more than a dozen Tier 6 demonic beasts, it wasn't difficult to guess that the 2 people standing in front of them must be Tier 7 transformation stage demonic cultivators. Lu Muyan's gaze swept over the burly man. She felt the same oppressive aura that she felt in the Scarlet Forest. She could conclude that this large man was the demonic cultivator who ordered the Queen Fire Ant to attack them, and also a transformed spirit rhinoceros beast. Their arrival gained the attention of the two groups of people. Those in the 10 distinguished clans saw that it was the group Lan Si led, so they didn't pay much attention, while the two transformation stage demonic cultivators swept over their cultivation base and their lips rose with ridicule. Lu Muyan scanned the area secretly with her spiritual sense once, and found that guy Ming Xiu's aura. But she couldn't judge his position, probably because he used some sort of secret skill to hide. Human sword masters, what do you intend to do, breaking into this king's cave dwelling? The effeminate demonic cultivator at the transformation stage retracted his gaze on Lan Si and his party, then looked at the sword sovereigns of the 10 distinguished clans coldly, asking. A yellow-clothed sword sovereign old man, who Lu Muyan had never seen before, sneered, "Humph, I sure don't know when this volcano became the cave dwelling of a sky-swallowing python. You beings that usually like the cold could survive for a long time in such high temperatures? What a joke." A chill radiated from the effeminate man, and the large man beside him, together with the Tier 6 demonic beasts behind them, prepared themselves, ready to act at any time. The battle was on the verge of starting. One Yama, the king of hell in Buddhist and Hindu mythology. So they'll die basically. E-battle on the verge of starting. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.